He thought he was in control. How wrong he was.
Come to the dark side driving. It's the dark side driving. Come to the dark side driving. It's the dark side driving movie club.
From the deepest corner of the darkest universe, two brave hosts battle through nameless hordes of ghoulish monsters most foul, all to bring you the eternal glory of the Dark Side Drive-In.
It's the dark side driving. It's the dark side driving. Come to the dark side driving. It's the dark side driving movie club. It's the dark side driving. Come to the dark side driving. It's the dark side driving. It's the dark side driving movie club.
Hey, what's up? It's Shane with Farview Studios. I'm joined here with Stefan.
Greetings.
And you are tuning into the Dark Side Drive-In, which is our horror-themed podcast where we cover movies from the 80s, sometimes 70s, and sometimes 90s. And today, back to the late 80s.
1989.
You heard it here, folks. Everyone's excited. I'm going to try these new sound effects out. We have new software, new technology. You're probably thinking like, hey, where the hell have you idiots been? Stefan's been right where he needs to be and keeping me honest. I've been bouncing around like a moron, but I think we're back on track here. But hey, Stefan, what are the fine listeners?
You make it sound like I'm mean.
You're not mean.
Let me tell you,
you're supportive.
My mother scolds me frequently. She thinks I bully you.
She does.
I have a weekly phone call with her, and she thinks that I bully you into things.
She's finally caught. Like, here's the funny thing, okay? So we took a break, and I can still see the numbers and stuff, like on the back end, like who's downloading. Like, actually, it tells me where you guys are. Not like physically in specific locations, but I can tell which state you're in. It's just kind of creepy. So our downloads started to decrease because we weren't publishing episodes, which is is bound to happen, right? That's how that works. But
that's my understanding of how things work. Yeah, if you're not putting out content, people are not going to listen.
But our listenership increased, so people are finally catching up on our stuff, which is awesome. So thank you very much. Thank you for hanging in there. I was kind of getting worried Freck was going to try to figure out where I lived and fight me, so we keep posting more episodes. But yeah, so we're back, full force, and we've got some cool stuff coming up that I think you're going to be excited about, and we'll talk about that later. But Stefan, what are we getting into today?
Hold on. So no, wait a second.
We're not.
I'm not ready to. I'm not
Did
ready
I do
for
it bad?
this. No, you're fine.
Okay.
Hold on a second. So did we already release the episode where I'm so confused now? The episode where we talked about how we were changing our release schedule to. I don't know which one it was.
I have no idea.
So I don't know if. And it's also like I'm thinking about it. It's been a huge break for us since we've released anything, but this is actually going to be after Winter Beast.
Yes.
So to the audience, it won't have been as much of a break because Winter Beast, if it ever comes out, will be like immediately before this one.
We did one intermission in February. I think we recorded, right?
That was where we did the Fantastic Four. Right?
Yeah, and I think that was the last thing we recorded. Right?
Yeah.
For this, we did some other stuff, but yeah. So we did take for you, it's not going to be as long. For us, it was 4 months. So yeah, my bad. I'll own that one. But we have some cool new tricks and things that we have that help us push content out. So pretty excited for that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that people are jonesing for their Dark Side Dave fix too.
I can't wait.
Where he's been.
Where has he been? I haven't seen him. I've heard rumblings.
What, that because he was an illegal immigrant, he was deported?
Yes.
Well, we're gonna have to cover that during an intermission episode. That's not for here.
Okay.
It's like, oh wait, hold on a second. But I can show up anywhere because I'm on the couch. Oh no!
See him back there.
Yeah, yeah. Now that we can see each other, you can definitely see this very real extra dimensional lich that's in my couch, on my couch, not in the couch. Well, he can be. That's true. I can move through matter. Wow, it's a new lore dump right here on a mainline episode. That's so crazy, Dave. But go back and play some video games. And, I had to give him a lot of screen time because he doesn't have eyes to be damaged. So he gets all the screen time he wants.
No brains to rot.
That's true. His skull's empty.
I heard that, you jerks.
Go back to playing video games. He's playing the Oblivion remaster.
Oh, man.
He wasn't in our reality when the first one came out, so this is all new to him.
He's in for a treat. That game is a banger.
He was just excited because it was called Oblivion.
He has no idea.
He didn't even know. Yeah, he didn't even know what it was about. He just likes the word.
Yeah, he just likes the concept.
He likes the concept of Oblivion.
The theory of Oblivion. He's into that.
That's Dave for you.
Tinge of Oblivion.
All right, I've derailed us already. This is
you're good.
Great. So yeah, what we're here to talk about today is a little Italian feature from 1989 called The Church. It was supposed to be the third in a series of movies called Demoni in Italian, but it's Demons. So, have you ever seen the Demons movies?
I know about the first one. I didn't know there was another one.
Yeah, so the first one is the one that takes place in a movie theater, and the second one is like in an apartment building. So both of those, I believe, were directed by Lamberto Bava, son of the legendary Italian master director Mario Bava. He was supposed to make this one, so he's like, when we get to like the credits, you'll see that there's a lot of like through line on the lineage for this. But then whenever the director of this, Michele Soavi, I had to look up how to pronounce his first name. So Michele Soavi, he wanted to make a little more serious one, a little more serious of a feature than what the Demons series was. There was like more like kind of splatter, like a lot of gore, a lot of crazy violence. This one's a little more artsy, I guess.
Like Terminator 2?
Sure.
But not that one.
Oh, you're talking about how, he was in like a Alien 2, but not Aliens, not the proper one. Like the Italian off-brand, unlicensed sequels.
Those movies look so good. I actually have my to-be like watch list is full of the Italian knockoff movies that are the same title that don't deal with the same thing.
They can be good because,
they know drama.
Lucio Fulci's released here as Zombie or Zombie Flesh Eater sometimes was in Italian. It was called Zombie 2, and it was an unlicensed sequel to Dawn of the Dead, which was released in Italy as Zombie. So no, it's some of these movies are super great, but they are fans of unlicensed and sometimes unrelated sequels to things. See Troll 2 for more information.
Don't piss on hospitality. That's all I have to say about that one.
But this is like a long form way of getting around it. But this does still have some of the like DNA of the Demons series, because the spreading of the demon thing in that is like a plague. It's more like a pestilence than it is like a I feel like a lot of like American movies that focus on demon stuff, it's like all about possession or whatever. But in these movies, it's more like an infection. Like you can pass it along to each other. So that contains that element in this one that it shares with Demons and Demons 2.
I did like that about this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Slick. Actually, if I remember Demons 2 correctly, in the apartment building, they were watching Demons 1 on TV and it came through the TV. So it was like a electronic version of an infection that then passed on to people. I'm hoping I'm right. I'm going to look really dumb if that's not what happened in Demons 2. Stop the presses. Everyone's going to be furious with me.
You'll get a letter from Italy. You're going to get extradited.
Yeah, I guess.
Ported back to your homeland of Italy.
Sure. Let me check my 23andMe and see if the math checks out on that. Do you see that 23andMe like got hacked and like all of my DNA information is now just out there?
Yeah, I feel like part of that's like cover up. Like, yeah, we sold it. We got hacked.
Well, they did both, right?
Right. That's what I mean. It's just like, what's the difference? Like, these people just didn't pay for the shit you're giving away.
Everything's just chaos out there right now. Because I also got a notification that like my password might have been hacked. Like for things. Luckily for me, I changed my password on like almost all of my apps, so it's not gonna work for multiple things. But I got this notification like you were probably part of a data breach, and like, and with what? It's like everything, all your data's everywhere now. Probably Elon Musk downloaded my social security information too and gave it to one of his minions.
So like, what's interesting? So I get that notification all the time with Chrome, and I was part of that Chrome breach that happened like, oh God, I don't know, like 2012. I don't know. It was a long time ago. So, and then I have an old password, and like, well, I have one account left that still has that password, and I refuse to change it because I don't care. So whoever wants it, you can just have it. And I log in. It's like, hey, this might be part of a data breach. I'm like, yeah, your data breach. Like you did this. Like you did this to me. This is your fault. Like live with this. I refuse to change it because I think it's so ironic to me. I think it's the funniest shit ever that they're warning you about something they fucked up. Yeah, that's funny. I think that's all I had for the intro. I'm really excited to talk about some of these people in this movie. And we talked before, had a little table talk. There are a lot of people in the last 10 minutes of this movie. Or 15. Like a lot. Probably, 30?
They definitely drop in a ton of characters at the end just to like really pad out this church situation.
And some banger like people.
Sure.
I mean, people that have acting credits or have a bunch of other things, cameos.
Well, if they weren't a named character, buddy, I didn't put them on my list. There's too many people. So I guess once we get there, if you want to pull up one or two of them on IMDb, we can run.
Well, no, we brought up one that we're not going to talk about. I'm just saying, like, there was like used for cameos. Like, there were a lot of people that kind of popped in.
I mean, the
extras.
director himself shows up.
Correct,
right? Cameo appearance in this film.
So, yeah. So why don't we get into the cast and or crew?
Let's take me to church. What's in that? A song from a few years ago people seem to like.
Yeah, hold on. Let me play it and we're going to take it down. The first episode back.
Let's get copyright strict.
DCMA, done.
Well, I can't play that song because I don't know who did it.
Hosier.
The sign can't stop me because I don't know how to read. Wait, is it Hosier?
Yeah.
I thought it was Hosier.
Oh, you're right.
Is it Hosier?
I have no idea, dude. Does he? I don't know if he would tell us the truth if we asked him.
Well, how would I even do that? Text him?
Text him, Instagram.
Hit him up on Insta, slide into his DMs.
What we should try to do is hate tweet him.
Is it a he? Is it like a one person or is that a band name?
I don't know. It's
a
him.
person. It's one person.
Yeah, it is an individual.
Oh man, we're just getting started and we already got derailed. This is what happens when we don't record in so long. We have too much we have to get out of our system.
Literally, I think we're professionals.
All right, like cool.
We missed our 2nd year anniversary.
I know. What is that? What is that anniversary? Silver? Cake? I don't know. I don't know the anniversaries.
Blood?
There will be blood. All right, stop it. We got to go through the cast and crew. So let me do like a little segment intro. The cast and crew. How's that?
Hold on, I have a transition song if you want it.
Do it.
I literally have no idea what this is. It's terrible. I'm sorry.
Why did you do that to me?
I
can't believe you made me wait for that. Don't even edit that out. I want the audience to know that you made me wait so you could play that crap music as our intro song. My God, what is happening?
I've got cool bloms too.
That was, oh my God. I'm about to just take off my headset and leave. What is that?
What's this other one?
One's a little better. All right, let's try to salvage what we can from this episode here. Back to the cast and crew that I hadn't even started yet. The director is Mikola Soavi, which I had said before. So he has like 3 different categories of credits because he has director credits, assistant director credits and actor credits. I think that probably how he stumbled into like the Dario Argento orbit is through his work as an AD, because he worked under Dario Argento a lot. So let's start with as a director, Dario Argento's World of Horror, which I believe was a documentary. He did Stage Fright, which, a little inside baseball, I had considered Stage Fright for our Summer Try Slash-a-thon this year. But because we had just done a Mikola Soavi movie, I didn't want to do, 2 in a row. I like to keep our movies, directors, and stuff like that a little bit more diverse.
So is Stage Fright, is that the U.S. title? Or is because there's an original title, and then I'm seeing a title called Aquarius?
I only know Stage Fright, so if there's another title, is it like are you Googling it?
It's on IMDb. So like the poster art says Aquarius. The build title is Stage Fright, and then the original title says Deliria.
Oh, the Italian food is Deliria. Yeah, I'm guessing it's probably just the American title.
Yeah, I don't know.
And isn't it stylized kind of weird? It's like Stage Fright, like
yes,
all one word, no space, but like still a capital F on fright. Pretty cool movie. It's just like a person with like a owl head killing a bunch of people in this theater. So,
and if you were wondering, do they play a saxophone in it? The answer is yes.
That's true. If you were wondering, if you're like, is that the one with the saxophone? All right, back to Mikola's credits here. The Sect, Cemetery Man, or there's a Delamore, something like that. Cemetery Man was one that I recently watched on The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs. Is a pretty wild movie. And then the last credit I had from was The Legend of the Christmas Witch. I don't know what that is. As assistant director, he had a lot of stuff. Absurd, Tenebrae, 2020 Texas Gladiators, A Blade in the Dark, Blast Fighter, Phenomena, Demons, Opera, and the Brothers Grimm, like the one with Heath Ledger. As an actor, speaking of what we were saying earlier about the unlicensed sequels, he was in Alien 2 on Earth, City of the Living Dead, Absurd, The New York Ripper, Tenebrae, A Blade in the Dark, Atlantis Interceptors, Blast Fighters, Phenomena, Demons, Stage Fright, Opera, The Black Cat, The Sect, Cemetery Man. A bunch of his own stuff he also acts in. Must be nice to be able to cast yourself, am I right?
I would.
All right, jeez. All right, good way to add some flavor to the conversation, my man. And now that the audience doesn't know this, but we're on camera with each other now too. So you probably watched as I just had this look on my face, like, why did you do that? Why did you say that and throw me off?
There's so much oxygen left in this earth. You've consumed it.
Why did you waste my time on that? All right. So onward to the writers, keeping this momentum going. We have a rogues gallery of writers here. So some of them have story credits, some of them are uncredited. I didn't bother putting in my notes which are which. I mean, I think Dario Argento just has a story credit. So we have Dario Argento, Franco Ferrini, Mikola Soavi, Lamberto Bava, and then Fabrizio Bava, which is, I believe, Lamberto Bava's son. Dardano Sacchetti. And then M.R. James is an author credited with a book or story called The Treasure of Abbot Thomas, which I guess had some kind of impact on this production. I'm going to focus up on Franco Ferrini and Lamberto Bava because Bava was the director of those other two Demon movies and was pretty involved in this up until the end. And Ferrini seems to be like the main writer that, like, besides Mikola Soavi. So for Franco Ferrini, we have Rings of Fear, Once Upon a Time in America, Phenomena, Demons, Demons 2, Opera, Private Affairs, Two Evil Eyes, which was a movie that I was really interested in doing for our podcast, but then Tubi took it off. Trauma, The Stendhal Syndrome, Call Girl, Germanicus, Dark Glasses. Lamberto Bava, I think we went through a bunch of his stuff already, but he had like The House of Exorcism, Shock, Macabre, A Blade in the Dark, Devilfish, which you may know from an episode of MST3K. Blast Fighter, Demons 2, Delirium, Sabbath, Body Puzzle, The Torture, Ghost Son. Speaking of sons, Fabrizio Bava seems to do a lot of AD work with his father and the other Italian directors there. I didn't want to go through everyone's credits because there's just too many people involved in this thing.
So many.
So, yeah. So if you want to learn more about Fabrizio Bava, I don't know, man, go to IMDb. You have the internet. Why am I here? Why am I doing this? All right, next up is the music. We have Keith Emerson, Philip Glass, and Goblin. Keith Emerson, you may know, is that experimental synth music group Emerson, Lake and Palmer. So big get right there. Also did Inferno, Nighthawks, Murder Rock, The Dancing Death, Best Revenge. All of the music for that 90s Iron Man cartoon series, if you remember that one back in the day. Here's a fun one. Godzilla Final Wars.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, what did he like, I don't know, did they take one of his songs for the soundtrack or something? He's like, no, he scored that movie. Didn't see that coming. That was an unexpected treat. Philip Glass, Hamburger Hill, Candyman, Farewell to the Flesh, The Hours, Secret Window, Taking Lives, The Illusionist, the more recent Fantastic Four currently released, but not the new one that Marvel's about to release. So don't get your Fantastic Fours mixed up, buddy. And then for Goblin, I mean, come on, we know Goblin. They're classics in the horror community. Deep Red, Dawn of the Dead, where they did Suspiria, I believe, Beyond the Darkness, Hell of the Living Dead, Phenomena. You know Goblin.
You can tell that they put time in the talent. I know we'll get into this a lot later, so I don't want to show my hand on the music here, but it's pretty fucking good.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of different motifs throughout. I'm trying to think. There's another movie we did that it reminded me of that. Some of these musical stings are just really loud and sudden and complicated, and it's where did this come from? Who did this one? Was it Philip Glass? Was it Keith Emerson? Was it Goblin? All of them in a room together? Who knows? So now onward to special effects. So special effects, there's a lot of people involved. Renato Agostini, Danilo Bollettini, Massimo Cristofanelli, Danilo Del Monte, Sergio Stivalletti. Can't imagine that I didn't butcher most of those, but I'm doing my best. I'm going to focus up on a couple of them. Agostini had some interesting ones, like the core, the one where the core of the Earth stops spinning. And then they're like, what if... He's like, we can't just drill into the Earth and restart the core. And the guy's like, but what if we could? And then it's like, oh, I think we got a movie.
Was Brendan Fraser in that movie?
No, you're thinking of Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Oh, same thing.
No, I can't even...
Same core.
I don't even have enough hours
it's
in the day to
Eckert.
explain.
It's Aaron Eckert. I knew it was one of those stone-jawed, one of those mid-2000 action heroes.
Yeah, Brendan Fraser and Aaron Eckert, oft confused. Which one was Two-Face in The Dark Knight again? I don't know. They look the same. Which one was in George of the Jungle? All right, back to Agostini. Equilibrium, The Life Aquatic of Steve Zissou, Avengers, Age of Ultron, possibly the finest of the Avengers, The Passion of the Christ, so he kept with some religious motifs here. The Church and The Passion of the Christ, similar movies.
Good at cross stuff.
Yeah. Then I picked Bollettini, No Time to Die, The King's Man, Red Notice, The Little Mermaid, the new one, Wonder Woman. So a lot of big name, things. Was there anyone else you wanted to zero in on? There's a lot of people to get through, so I didn't want to list everyone's credits for everything.
I can't believe you did our boy Christian Haydenson like that. Christian Haydenson, is that how you say his name?
Hayden Christensen?
Hayden, yeah, whatever. Jumper.
He's not in this movie.
Agostini did the special effects for Jumper.
Oh, he did do the special effects for Jumper, didn't he?
That actually was a pretty movie. I can't believe I said Christian Haydenson's Hayden Christensen. I actually knew that. I literally looked.
You having a
I did our boy dirty.
Yeah, you did him dirty. Me for the omission and then you for not knowing his name.
Oh, man.
Looks like you no longer have the high ground, morally speaking.
I know.
But yeah, no, Jumper, that was an okay movie. I think that it was the ideas behind it were more interesting than the movie itself.
He did a great job in it.
Yeah, there's like 2 movies that came out around that same time. So there's a Hayden Christensen one, Jumper, and then there was like one called Push that had Captain America in it.
Yep.
And I mixed those 2 movies up a bunch when I was younger. And now I don't think about them at all. But all right, that's unless there's anyone you want to cover with like the special effects group.
No, I think let me just look up.
Yeah, go ahead and have a peek.
No, all the same kind of work. Like a lot of these guys actually work together.
There was a lot of cross-pollination. Yeah, I noticed that. All right, well, let's move into the actual cast here. Starting hot, we're gonna go with Father Gus, as played by Hugh Quarshie. He has some absolute bangers in his list. Baby Secret of the Lost Legend. One of the finest dinosaur movies. Highlander, Nightbreed, Wing Commander. A little film you might have heard of called Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, where he played Captain Tanaka. Sorry. Man, I almost got us canceled for that one.
Two Star Wars errors in one episode. I think
I know what's going to happen. Jason and the Argonauts, Red Sparrow, Fantastic Beasts, Crimes of Grindelwald. By many accounts, a terrible movie. Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan, the one with Jim from The Office playing Jack Ryan.
That makes sense.
It's kind of funny that he played a guy named Jim, he plays a guy named Jack, and his real name's John. Like, figure it out. That's all I had for Father Gus. He had a lot of these people have like a ton of credits, so I'm just kind of picking ones that seem interesting. So if there's anything that you see on the list that you're like, wow, I can't believe you omitted that, go ahead and call me out, dude.
I will. Promise.
All right. Next up is Evan, as played by Thomas Rana. What an example of don't date your coworkers this character is, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, granted, they were working in a church, and most of those people like were priests or whatever, or monks or what have you. So I guess the pickings was slim. But is it Tomas or Thomas?
I
think it's Tomas. I put it in my notes as Thomas, but I think it's Tomas.
It's Tomas, yeah.
Yeah, Tomas. But yeah, he has a bunch of stuff. The Last Temptation of Christ, Domino, The Hunt for Red October, The Sect, which was Mikola Soavi's next movie, and I started watching it earlier today, and I am not on board so far. The Bodyguard, Tombstone, maybe you've heard of it. Maybe I'm Your Huckleberry, as they say. L.A. Confidential, Gladiator. He played Quintus in Gladiator. The Bourne Supremacy, Frankenfish, Bats Human Harvest, the sequel to Bats. The Dark Knight Rises, Guardians of the Galaxy. So his last credit was something called Django Undisputed, but I don't think it is anything to do with like Django Unchained. I'm kind of
nothing to do with Django Unchained.
Yeah, just a cheap cash in, I guess. So here you go, Tomas Arana, Evan, our lead, so to speak. I guess I don't know. I think that we're originally supposed to root for him until he, starts trying to become a Superman. I think was his goal.
Yeah, there were a lot of things going on with him.
Sure. Next up is Lisa, is played by Barbara Cupusti. She was in The New York Ripper, Stage Fright, Opera, The Flesh and the Devil, Cemetery Man. Often, collaborating with Mikola Soavi. So, a lot of his stuff. I remember she had a lot more credits in that, but a lot of them were Italian names, and I don't know what they mean.
So, what's kind of crazy about her is she's top billed in a ton of movies. And there's no photos of her. Like none, not one. And she has some pretty prominent role. Like I said, she's top billed in a lot of these Italian films, especially the ones with this group of filmmakers. So I don't know, can't explain it. probably some of the photos you probably wouldn't put on here. That might be why. But yeah.
Yeah,
I was actually shocked.
Yeah, there's actually pictures of her in the photos for these movies, but she's not tagged in them in IMDb for some reason. Very strange. But all right, moving on. Next up is The Bishop, as played by Fyodor Chalapin Jr. Probably did not pronounce that right. He has a bunch of like old timey movies, like For Whom the Bell Tolls, Buffalo Bill, Inferno, Salome, The Name of the Rose. Name of the Rose. Speaking of catacombs and monasteries and whatnot. Moonstruck. Oh, catacombs.
I was waiting for it. I thought that's what you were doing. Like I thought this was going to be like the thing.
No, it wasn't like the thing. Paganini, The Inner Circle. Okay, so fun fact: The Name of the Rose. That was the movie that when I was
Sean Connery, Christian Slater.
Yeah. It was like I watched it in a class in college, and it was the class that I had with Lula. And that was where we got the Bernardo Gui thing we used to shout all the time.
Funny.
There's the character, the Inquisitor in that movie is Bernardo Gui. So, Name of the Rose. Run, don't walk to your bookstore and read the Umberto Eco novel instead. No, the movie's very good. I enjoyed the movie. Anything else for Fyodor? He had a ton of stuff, but I just kind of
honestly, I don't reckon. Other than the ones you said, I don't recognize any of them.
All right. Next up is The Reverend, as played by Giovanni Lombardo Radici. He was in City of the Dead, House on the Edge of the Park, Cannibal Ferox, Stage Fright, The Sect, Gangs of New York, the 2006, I think, Omen remake, The Omen. Ironically, a movie. What?
Not the new Omen.
Yeah, the 2006 one. Oh, you're talking about the first Omen? Is this a callback to when you didn't realize that I wanted you to watch the first Omen, like the movie called The First Omen, not The First The Omen? But anyways, ironically, a movie called The Reverend, which I thought was funny. Violent Shit, the movie. Dogman's Rabies, Baphomet, and The Well. So, Giovanni Lamberto Radici. Run, don't walk to the movies to watch his movies. I don't know why run, don't walk is my thing right now, but I'm just going to lean into it.
I don't know, but everyone get out there, start running.
Yeah, get out there.
Yeah. If you're listening right now, just start warming up, stretch, get a good, get your heart rate up and get running.
And all right, now that you're back, you paused this podcast, went for a run.
But you can headphones. They can just listen to it while they're doing it.
Oh, facts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, next up is Lotta, as played by Asia Argento. She had a bunch of stuff: Demons 2, Trauma, The Stendhal Syndrome, New Rose Hotel, Love Bites, The Red Siren, Triple X, the movie with Vin Diesel as a secret agent. Because that'd be a great person to have as a secret agent, a guy who looks like literally no one else on Earth. Like, you would not mistake him for anyone else.
Guy keeps talking about family.
Yeah, just a crossover. Xander Cage with Dominic Toretto.
Okay, but Pitch Black, though, I'll give it to him. I actually thought he played Riddick pretty well.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't saying that he was a bad actor. I was just saying that those are bad movies.
About that? Sure.
I actually kind of like Triple X because that was one with Rammstein at the start of it.
It was so good, dude.
It was rad. And back to Asia Argento, Milady and the Three Musketeers, Land of the Dead, the fourth in the Of the Dead series from George Romero, Marie Antoinette, Dracula 3D, possibly the worst version of Dracula. It was directed by her father, Dario Argento. In it, at one point, Dracula turns into a giant praying mantis and cuts a guy's head off with his mantis claws.
That's the lore.
What?
That's in the lore.
Oh, really?
I mean, it is now.
Okay. Dark Glasses, Queens of Drama. So there you go, Asia Argento. We're going to sidestep...
you don't like Rutger Hauer, though? We had a really long conversation about Rutger Hauer.
Rutger Hauer plays...
Van Helsing.
Van Helsing in that.
Yeah.
And isn't it Thomas Kretschmann plays Dracula? I mean, I've watched the movie, but it looks like it was done with like Adobe After Effects, man. Like at one point they have like digital steam that like I think I could put into a better movie like on the Mac computer I was using in high school.
It's like the old days where you just capture a bunch of fucking rats and put them in a building.
No, yeah, that's when the art had integrity.
Or cockroaches.
At one point in that movie too, like Dracula turns into so many different creatures. He turns into an owl at one point. And he turns into like a swarm of flies, and he turns into a giant praying mantis. And he also turns into a wolf. The wolf thing is accurate to the lore, though.
Yeah.
The giant praying mantis just doesn't make sense. I don't get that. But yeah, like I said, we're going to sidestep S.C. Argento's questionable criminal past. not worry too much about that. Next up is somebody that I think was credited as the bride or bride dress lady, Antonella Vitale. She's an opera grandi magazzini and noi uomini duri. So most of her stuff's Italian, if you can't tell, as I stumble through that. Next up on my list actually is Herman the sacristan, who I mostly put in here just because I had to look up what a sacristan was.
Isn't it just like a groundskeeper or like a caretaker?
Oh, you're looking so dumb right now. So
anyway, all the sacristans are like, dude, we're gonna fucking get them.
Yeah. So
let me look this up so I can be embarrassed in real time.
So the sacristan takes care of the sacristy, which is like a church reliquary. Yeah, it's like where they keep all of like the. I know, that's what I'm saying. You're about to, all the Catholics are coming for you, dude. But it's where they keep all the weird like relics that like the Catholic Church used to, I don't know, power the world. All of those weird, they probably put like bones of like dead saints in there. Probably like cups. It's like Jesus once looked at this cup, like all that kind of stuff. You know, that's the.
That sounds like personal knowledge. Do you know about this cup?
Like, hey, I don't know. But yeah, so the sacristan takes care of that, and then like sets up things, like sets up like all of the ritual gear that the Catholic Church uses. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like, hey, you know cups, right? It's like, yeah, I know cups.
Well,
like,
they put
hey,
like,
you heard you know Jesus, right? It's like, yeah. It's like, well, he looked at this one.
Put it in the sacristy, baby.
Put it in the sacristy.
Like we don't know if we can validate that, but we're putting it in there. Damn it. So, man, we're upsetting the Catholic Church so much right now. Luckily, they're busy picking that new pope
from Chicago.
Yeah, the Bears.
The Bears.
I didn't even get into Herman. It's okay. Herman the sacristan, Roberto Corbilletto. He had a few credits: Dangerous Beauty, Spirits of the Dead, but then everything else is like Italian, so I could not read it. And that's like everyone that I covered, but like you said, that there's a ton of people in here. I don't know if I wanted to talk about the biker couple, but I couldn't identify them in the cast list, so I had no idea who they were.
Yeah, I think everybody else is like just random 90s movies or Italian films.
Yeah, I can't believe this Italian production has so many people in an Italian film.
I do, and I'm gonna save this criticism for later, but they do have a lot of Italian actors in this. But I felt like they had a lot of also famous, like, English-speaking actors or actresses too. So normally in these films, like, the overdubs are a lot different. Like, this one didn't have... It definitely was dubbed because it is that style, but it wasn't as bad as the other ones, which I think is kind of a negative on it. But I don't know. We'll get into that later.
Well, like, I'm even trying to... So, Miss Bruckner or whatever, like, the teacher of those kids, I don't even see her in the cast list.
Patrizia Punzo.
Oh, there she is. All right, cool.
Cemetery
so she
Man.
has some
she
stuff. Cemetery Man. There you go. So she has some credits. That was my bad. I missed her. She wasn't even top billed though, and she's like very featured. I'm very confused. You had the architect from like the flashbacks, played by John Richardson.
He was kind of famous.
Yeah, 1 million years BC. Looks like War of the Planets, School of Thieves 2, Murder Syndrome. Yeah, he had some pretty interesting stuff.
But he was only in like one scene.
Battle of the Stars. Yeah, but no, I'm trying to figure out. So, do you know the names of those two biker people,
I have no idea. They're not in the credits.
or at least not? They might be in there by like the characters' names, but I don't remember them saying their names.
I remember the Frank guy that she was like stepping around on him with, but
Yeah, because they say his name, but they don't say each other's names. And I wanted to because they have a pretty interesting death in this, and I'd like to call it out. But yeah, I truly have no idea. So it's either Joanna or Mira. I have no idea. And then I guess Freddie might be the dude in that relationship. That seems right? That seems like a Freddie name. Sure. He has some interesting stuff.
I thought those were the kids.
He had Cemetery Man. Is Freddie one of the kids?
I thought all these uncredited people were kids.
Well, they have like a bunch of kids credited as schoolboy. Like there's schoolboy, younger schoolboy, schoolgirl.
Yeah, I have no idea. Who's the accuser? What that? Those are all the people from the past, right?
Yeah, the accuser is the one who like is like, hey, I found where those Satanist villagers are. Who's like, check their feet. So Quentin Tarantino over here. There's the old lady who is Heinrich's wife, played by Catherine Bell Marjorie, but she only has this credit. And then Heinrich is John Carlson, and he has some stuff like Requiem for a Secret Agent, The Sandman, Cracking the World, but like nothing really interesting from what I can see.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's that. He's the evil Duke. But
yeah.
So
I don't think he'd lose his head over this role. So I think
whoa. Bruno is the groom of the bride and groom, right?
Yes.
Because I think that the bride lady calls him Bruno at one point. So I'm guessing that Freddie and Mira are like the biker couple, or Joanna. I don't know who Joanna is. I don't know. I'm done with this. We're moving on.
Well, look at her name. Look at Mira's name. I think you're right.
You think Mira is the biker girl?
Yep. Look who plays her.
There's no picture, but it says Olivia Capusti. So is she like related to Barbara Capusti?
I think that's too much of it. The nepotism runs deep.
Yeah. Well, all she had was Dark Bar and then this, so it's not like we missed out on a lot of her stuff. And then Freddie had Cemetery Man, Roberto Caruso. But then who's Claire Hardwick? Who's Joanna? I have no idea who that is. She had like Robot Jocks, so she's got some pretty cool stuff. But I have no idea who Joanna is. I watched this movie like 4 times. I don't know who Joanna is.
Yeah, I don't know. But you know what we do know about?
Is that a transition that I'm hearing?
Hell yeah. Transformer noise.
Wow. So now we're just going to try to do the noises ourselves since we can't edit in every sound like you used to do. So we're just going to try to make the sounds ourselves.
I can just put it over us talking. Like I might do that now. Every time we're going to do something, I'm just going to make that Transformer sound.
Oh no, I was taking a drink when you said that. All right. Now that I've almost choked to death, we're going to move on to our next segment. A little something we like to call the plot description.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I had no idea what I thought you were just saying, isn't this song cool?
This song's great.
Hell yeah, listen.
So we can hear the songs live now, so like Stefan's not even surprised anymore. Like this is...
No, yeah, you've lost the element of surprise. Hold on 1 second, I gotta open this. I'm just opening a soda.
Is it an adult soda?
I plead the fifth. No, I'm 30-something years old, 37 years old. I'm allowed to have a beer while I talk movies with my boy. So it is a 1 alcohol beer, please.
1 alcohol, please.
1, what is it? Human alcohol beer is what they say, I think. All right, plot description. Let's do this. So I've a little something to the audience. I was going to try really, 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 really hard to make these plot descriptions way more smooth, to not go into as much detail. And then we watch a movie like this, it's so rich with incident that it's like, if I don't go into what's happening, it's going to be so confusing. It's already confusing even knowing what's going on. So buckle up, Buttercup. We're going for a trip. All right, the church. We start out some pre-playing credits, just white text on black screen until an establishing outdoor shot. And then some solid organ tones. You know how we love organ tones.
Solid organ tones.
Yeah, we're really putting our man Keith Emerson, maybe Philip Glass, maybe, who knows? One of them's definitely being put to work.
Maybe Goblin.
Maybe Goblin. Sudden daylight owl as some horses are running, and then the music is taken on a more synth tone. How did you like those synth tones that started like flying in there out of nowhere?
I love them.
That I feel like had to have been Keith Emerson. That has Keith Emerson written all over it.
Or Goblin.
It could be Goblin. And then watch Philip Glass is listening. It's like, what the hell, man? It was me.
Wait, who's Goblin again?
What?
Who's Goblin again?
The band?
Goblin D's nuts.
Oh, I walked right into it, too.
That's for you,
I walked
Zahn.
right into it. I don't think Zahn listens to this, so like he did it for nothing. We're done. I'm leaving. I don't even want to be here anymore. What's the Dr. Manhattan thing? I'm tired of this planet, these people.
I got Katie the other day.
What?
I got Katie the other day with that.
With
We
joke?
were in the car, and the Imagine Dragons came on. I'm like, oh my god, what's the name of this band? And she's like, what? I'm like, what's the name of this band? She goes, it's Imagine Dragon. I said, Imagine Dragon D's nuts. She was she got a good chuckle.
Yeah, that's good.
She chose to marry me. That was her problem.
She too late to apologize. Anyways, synth music. We're 2 lines in. Synth music, as Teutonic knights are running through the forest, the audience will not be seated as these horses ride through this forest. They're really taking advantage of the long scene. That's a lot of horse running.
There's a ton of horse riding.
Then we arrive at like a cave, like a rocky outcropping kind of thing, where there's like a guy that I assume is the accuser who's like, check it out, this rock has 666 on it. And it has like the 666 in like a circle, kind of like from the Omen or whatever. So that's significant enough for them to be like, all right, this village must be evil. So we see like a young woman by the creek and some children playing at this like village. When the horsemen, or like when the knights are arriving, the girl is like trying to frantically like cover her foot. And she goes and kisses the feet of one of the knights. But then the accuser monk is like, dude, she's a witch. They brought a plague. So they tread over all that is holy, yada, yada, yada. So the knight like reaches for her face before smashing her head with one hand, because this knight is apparently like some kind of berserker. I was wondering where that was going, because he like took off his helmet.
What a dumb helmet design.
That was a dumb helmet. Yeah.
Like it folds open, and then he has that dumb braid, which I mean is kind of important, not important, but that comes up later.
Certainly does. So yeah, anyways, he smashes her head, and then after that he like, in a shot that would make Quentin Tarantino blush, the monk like undoes the cloth on her feet to reveal that there's like a cross on her foot, like burned into her foot, which I guess means that they're treading upon Jesus or something. It's like, it's significant. They're evil, I guess, is the point. So this is all bad. So then it leads to like a really long, gruesome murder scene, as like these knights are now just like destroying everyone on this city, like killing them all, lighting all their stuff on fire. Some cool highlights. There is a head that is like cut off and is kicked around by horses for way longer than I expected that head to be kicked around by horses. There's like a woman who's like impaled between 2 horses, and they're like riding with like her body like impaled on this like stick. And then the other person who's significant is there's like a random person with a basket face mask. who we think that might be significant, and I guess it is, as we see at the end of the movie, because it's that person's eyes who Lottie sees later when she like has the vision of what happened.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I figured it out.
Okay.
The biker couple. I got their names.
Okay.
So you were correct. Freddie was the guy.
Yeah, I thought so.
Played by Roberto Caruso. Sorry, I gotta look in the mic. Roberto Caruso.
Yes.
The female was Claire Hardwick or Joanna.
So I was right. No, I wasn't right. I thought that she might have been Mira, but she was Joanna. All right, Cool.
Sorry, I found it. I was frantically Googling to try to figure this out. Got it.
No, this is This is the important work that our fans count on us for. So,
and if you're wondering, hey, dude, you wasted again more air. Claire Hardwick, Joanna, was also in Robot Jox.
I did say Robot Jox earlier. Robot Jox. We stand Robot Jox in this household. us and Freck are like the only ones I think who love Robot Jox.
Remember when you kept saying Roblox Jox?
No, and I refuse to acknowledge that I said that. And can't get me live on air with my dirty laundry here. All right. No time to dilly dally. We gotta get back to it. Smash cut to monks unloading bodies into a mass grave. Love to see it. We got face masks watching from a distance. And not only the humans are going to the grave, but everything. Like they're throwing ducks in there. I guess they have to throw all the animals into the mass grave. Like nothing can survive.
Almost.
Then within the grave, like someone's stirring. And then like, I think the accuser monk is like, hey, we got to bury them before they come back. Because apparently they can just come back. So they have to be buried immediately. One Knight on a horse gets a little too close and like he's grabbed from within the grave, and then the horse falls in it, and they're like, "Well, the horse is a lost cause. Like that horse is evil." So, and then the monks after they I think they bury everybody. The monk says that the site must be blessed and a church is built on top of it in order to prevent the demon-worshipping townspeople from ever escaping. But don't worry, they have other plans besides just building a church on it. That'd be crazy. The face mask kid's position is revealed by a random goose. And it is a goose that does not make a goose sound. It is very much making a different kind of bird noise. Robert Eggers would never allow this.
It's like stock bird sound.
It was like a weird sound that just wasn't a goose sound. Like, how hard is it to find a local goose?
I don't know. They killed all of them, so.
Well, apparently not. So anyways, face mask position is revealed by Goose. So, yeah, he's fleeing from a knight and then falls. And the basket mask is removed. And then we don't see it, but we presume that he's stabbed in the face by, the spear of this knight who had found the face mask kid. Cross is dropped on the gravesite.
Can we get into that for a second?
Sure.
I'm pretty sure that was, how do you say her name? Asia?
Was that Asia Argento?
I think it was. Because she talks about later in the movie about seeing all that stuff. I could have sworn that was who that was.
I thought she was just having a vision through the eyes of this other kid.
That could be
but if she was around the entire time?
That's what I thought, because at the end...
Well, let's not jump to the end now. We got to save a little juice for the squeeze.
Go down that road.
Don't go down that road. The pet cemetery down that road. Where you buried down there, don't stay buried. Come back.
Grand Sar.
Where was I? Oh, cross is dropped on the gravesite. We've cut to much later, where it is now embedded in a stone floor inside of a massive church. So they did it. They built a church. The camera withdraws and it shows us we're in the modern era, 1989 version of the church, full of clergy and guests, and it's undergoing a restoration. We see one of our main characters enter. It's our librarian, Evan, who has like a very brief meet cute with Lisa. Lisa is an artist who's restoring a large fresco of demon activity. She drops a bunch of stuff onto him. And he's like, here's your stuff. Also, I'm running late. And then he invites her to come have coffee with him later. And guess who sees this and doesn't appreciate it? The bishop.
Shocker.
Yeah, he's like, you kids aren't going to hook up under my watch. So, yeah, the disapproving gaze of the bishop. Evan enters the library only to find a young girl that we will learn is Lottie. Or Lotta. Is it Lotta? It's Lotta. That's how you pronounce it. Lotta is hiding under the desk. She's the sacristan's daughter. And she says that it is unfortunate that she is the child of the sacristan. And I put in my notes, I don't even know what a sacristan is. So I had to look it up afterwards. She does some kind of magic trick where she holds a metal ball to Evan's ears and asks if he heard a horse in the sound, but it sounded to me like chimes. It did not sound like a horse. And I know that because later on we're going to hear sounds that do sound like horses.
Well, I think that, okay, we'll get into it later.
All right.
I think she thinks other people hear that too.
What, the ghost noises, like the horses and stuff? Well, other people do, as we find later.
But after they've been touched.
We don't know that. We'll get into it.
There's a lot of stuff going on. This is why this movie is very good.
Yeah, I mean, it's something.
Whatever.
Smash cut to organ music. We see as a priest that we'll later learn is the Reverend Dominic, is playing on the organ in the sanctuary. Looks like Father Gus is up in the pulpit about to maybe give a sermon. But then the bishop shows up instead and starts, giving a sermon about the demon legion from the Bible. I guess to make sure that it's thematically related to the movie. What else? Lotta is putting on some makeup in her little mirror during the sermon. And then her sacristan father stops her. He's very disapproving of her nocturnal activities. We'll get into that later. Lisa is called away by a worker for some reason. So she's at the fresco doing her work, but then when she leaves her area, she knocks something over, disturbing the bishop. But I was like, why are they having a sermon right now? Because it's not Sunday, because the workers are working. So there's no way, why are they having a sermon while people are actively working? But I don't know. Don't Catholics have church
Thursday,
at weird times?
Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays? They've got multiple masses.
Ridiculous.
I know there's Sundays. I'm pretty sure it's Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, and then I think they have other.
And they sometimes have night church too, right?
Yeah.
Night church. Whatever, man. In any case, yeah, they're having some kind of church during a work day. Because those construction workers ain't staying past 5, baby.
That is true. That's a good point.
Okay, so yeah, the audience once again is part of the white knuckle thrill ride of Evan poking around the library, looking at locked cabinets.
I had to stand up. It was too.
It was too much. Yeah, I was the adrenaline was really pumping when Evan was poking around the library. So yeah. Lisa ends up going with the workmen to the catacombs, where one of the men is jackhammering. And Lisa stops him because she's seeing cracks forming on the walls and floors. And the one doing the jackhammer said, "That's what I was telling you." And it's like, well, if that's what you're telling her, why do you keep jackhammering? You're wrecking the floor, dude. Then the other man who seems like the one that actually came to get her. I don't know whether the one was saying, "This is what I was telling you." He says there must be a massive cave based on the sounds they're hearing. There must be a massive cave beneath the chamber they're in. Then Evan comes in and is like, "Why haven't we had that coffee yet?" It's like, Evan, just chill, dude. It's the middle of a work day. You don't just leave work to go have coffee with the lady at your new job, upsetting the bishop.
Well, Evan does.
Oh, Evan does. Because we'll later learn that he hates library stuff. It's like, wow, you're in the wrong line of work, buddy. You're a librarian who hates books.
He's obsessed with the sacrament.
Well, we'll find out more about that. She also, Lisa tells him, there's something about the damage. She is explaining it to him. Evan tells her that isn't her job, and she agrees, but then tells the workman that she'll look at it later. It's like, well, I thought it wasn't your job. So they go to have that coffee finally. joking about all the work they've apparently done in the interscene times, which is not the first time that I've been confused about how much time has passed in this movie. There's a lot of times where I'm very confused about when we are.
It's like that church is full of people all the time.
No, seriously though, like that place is lousy with fools constantly. I don't understand it. So then we cut to presumably later after their coffee. Lisa is putting some kind of putty into like sections of the wall that were starting to crack. Then she undoes all the work she just did by pushing against the wall, resulting in a section crumbling. And she reaches into the hole and finds... oh, by the way, don't reach into holes in walls of old buildings. You might find something you don't like in there. But she doesn't. She just finds like an old like sheet of parchment, which for some reason she brings to Evan. I put in my notes, they've rapidly formed a relationship of mutual trust, like in the
Good
two
coffee.
scenes they've had together. What?
Good coffee.
I know, apparently. Well, it is Italian, right? So.
True. Or well, technically German, right?
Well, that's true, yeah, because this wasn't... Well, does it take... I know it wasn't shot in Italy, because they had to...
The signs at the end that say don't go into the church on the fence were in German.
Yes, that is true.
So I assumed... Well, okay, so that was... One of my major criticisms about this film is that... And I don't know if... They did such a good job with the overdubs. Because like a lot of times like with the overdub stuff, you're... yeah, I'm looking at the picture right now. It's definitely German. It's either German or Austrian. But they did such a good job with the overdubs because typically these Italian movies, there's like it's really noticeable. This one was not noticeable at all. So the whole time I'm like, in the way it's shot, like, are they in like New York? Like I don't know. It was hard. They didn't really do a good job of setting that church in an environment that I felt like made sense with the story until the end when you're like, oh wait, it's in Germany.
Yeah, the Lorenzkirche of Nuremberg is where like the exteriors are, but I don't think they could shoot in there because Nuremberg was like, we don't want a horror movie shot here.
Makes sense.
So they opted not to do it, but I think that the interiors were like somewhere in Eastern Europe, I want to say.
Yeah, I was just strange. It didn't like a lot of these older movies are very good at having like a sense of place. Like even like thematically, like other things that are happening, kind of like you know where you are. And this one, I really, it felt like a big American city kind of vibe, which I don't know. It was kind of weird.
It is the Matthias Church in Budapest is where they did a lot of the shooting.
Okay.
So yeah, they had a hard time apparently finding a church that would let them, shoot a horror movie in a church.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of the exterior scenes that we were just talking about were actually shot in Nuremberg before they were, I guess, run out of town for shooting this movie there. Yeah, so Evan wants to try to decipher this parchment that is brought to him by Lisa. She says that the bishop should see it, but Evan's like, no. Don't you worry about that bishop. I'm going to be looking at this parchment first. And then when the bishop comes in, like his ears are burning. He knew he was being talked about. So he comes in and then they make like an excuse, like her asking him for a lift home and all that, which then does happen. So I was like, was that actually true too? On the ride home, Evan is telling Lisa about how he spent all day on the parchment, which is like, okay, so what time of day was it when she found the parchment?
So it wasn't before coffee.
I thought that was a different day. See, now I'm confused. But yeah, so he says he spent all day on the parchment. It was written in some kind of code, and Evan apparently isn't much of a code breaker. She asks if he wants to, do something, but he doesn't get the hint and just takes out the parchment. Like she's clearly hinting that she wants to like go out with him, but he's too obsessed with this like parchment thing. He explains to her that one of the symbols on the parchment is a symbol of the Teutonic Knights, which we already know that. We watched the Massacre of Village. He says that their cruelty was legendary and they influenced the Nazis, which is a bit of an oversimplification, but it is just a car ride, I guess. So I was going to let him have his excuse. The audience, once again, is treated to a white-knuckle throw ride as the bishop, Reverend Dominic, and the sacristan are all having dinner together. Bishop is telling about how he wants Reverend to do a sermon about how all the world belongs to the devil because of all the sin. And the Reverend is like, doesn't that seem a little extreme? And then Father Gus arrives, and he's scolded by the bishop. The bishop seems to really hate Father Gus. And I was like I'm hoping it's not racism.
I thought it was racism.
It seems like it might be racism. Yeah. So yeah, for the audience, if you didn't realize when we were talking about all of the credits that he was in, he is a black man. So if you didn't know that from Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, that Father Gus is the guy who played Captain Tanaka. There's Panaka, Captain Panaka. Yeah.
And if you do remember our coverage of Rats, Night of Terror, the only female actress of color was named Chocolate in the film. So this group of filmmakers don't have like a great track record of respecting
wow, what do you
societal
say
norms
about Italian filmmakers over here?
Yeah,
man, we're gonna get canceled by Italian cinema. So what was it? Reverend asked Father Gus to suggest Latin for his sermon, but Father Gus is like, I don't actually know very much Latin. It's like, how did you become a priest then, dude? It results in a very
says it in such a cool way, though.
He does say it in a really cool way. That's true. Because how does he phrase it? I can't remember how he phrased it. He's like, Latin is not strong.
Not very. Oh my god, he's like, yeah, it was
not
it was good.
Well versed in Latin or something like that. Is that what he said?
Something.
But it results in a very tense moment between like Reverend. We're not really the Reverend. The Reverend seems like a doormat, but between the bishop and Father Gus. Yeah. Meanwhile, Lotta takes off into like a fountain laden catacomb area, and then comes out somewhere outside the church. So suggesting she knows a secret way in and out of the church. Jot that down. That's a special tool that we'll use later.
Super important.
Yeah. She's the only one who knows the secret way in and out. Evan and Lisa arrive at her house, where she decides to have a shower despite having a strange man in her home. He continues his entire boring conversation talking about some writer, Fulcanelli, I think, who suggested that some tables in the basement of one of these Gothic cathedrals contain the Ark of the Covenant that might have been buried there, and that's how they got the knowledge to build Gothic cathedrals, is because of the Ark of the Covenant or something. I don't know what his point is. Lisa makes a joke about Indiana Jones, but Evan can't be bothered. He's too busy talking about how beneath old cathedrals there's probably going to be secret knowledge or lost science that could make a person into a Superman. So instantly talking about his goal of world domination, and she still wants to bone down with this guy. Like I said, don't date your coworkers, kids. She tells him that's sacrilegious, but he says he doesn't want to spend his life around old books. It's like, wow, man, you got in the wrong line of work, buddy.
Yeah, good call.
But again, she doesn't see all of the red flags, and they start making out. But of course, in the midst of their makeout session, which has gotten pretty hot and heavy, his like shirt's off. You know, they're in a state of undress. But then he sees a reflection in like a metal cylinder on Lisa's desk, and he sees the parchment was just written backwards because he couldn't crack the code that the Latin was backwards. Shane, this guy's not exactly an Alan Turing type, I gather.
No.
So yeah, he reads it, and it basically says something about a hidden chamber beneath a head with 7 eyes. And then he goes on another rant, and Lisa just gets bored and starts reading a book she pulls out. It's like, why is she dating this dude? This is so confusing. And he tells her that like this cathedral that they're working in is the only one that doesn't have a king or bishop to ever been buried. The only person buried there was the builder, and she wonders why. It's like, don't worry, the movie will get into it. Lisa suggests telling the bishop, and Evan scolds her, telling her that she's on his side. But I'm like, but since when is she on his side? Lotta makes it back to the church. She's trying to be as quiet as possible and undo a braid that she had put in her hair. I think this is what you meant when it's like the recurring motif of a braid in someone's hair.
It's like the same braid.
The same braid, yeah, like it's on the side kind of on her head, just like the knight. But then she hears the sound of a ghost horse. So this is our first instance of ghost horse.
Clopping.
Anything to add from the clopping sounds of ghost horse?
No,
and a snort. Ghost horse snort. You hear a
Chortle.
snort. Oh yeah, no whinnies, but this time.
I think that I think it's super. I think the braid's very. My theory is that she has been around the whole time, and
I don't disagree with that as a possible theory.
Yeah, and I think that she's just kind of like, because she knows how to get in and out of the church, but it doesn't explain the parents thing. But I guess like doesn't really have to. So I don't know.
I was thinking maybe she's a reincarnation. But yeah, so she backs up into her dad's fist, who yells at her for going out and drinking dressed like a floozy. Sudden cut to the most badass character in the movie, Father Gus, walking around outside, clad in all black with a... I was like, what is this establishing? And I was like, at first I don't know, but he just looks super cool and there's some sick tunes playing. Back at Lisa's fresco, she's prepping to leave for the night. Evan tries to get her to stay and keep him company while he does all of his, like, you know, tomb raiding he's planning to do, I guess is what you'd call it. But then this is like one of those sections of, like, you know how they say when people date, they want to share their interests. He's like, I'll lend you this copy of the book by Fulcanelli, but only if you promise to read it. I'm like, man, you're like really being forceful about your interest.
He must be like great at parties.
I know, it's like moving directly into the share my interest guy territory.
Yeah. Next he'll play Wonderwall on a guitar in a corner.
Yeah, make her sit still while he does it. He'll probably like make mistakes. Like, hold on. All right, I got it. Anyways, Lisa's departing. She hears the sound of ghost hooves of horse. She notices that there's also like hooded figures sitting in the pews, which was actually kind of creepy.
It was
to me. There's like a bunch of people in hoods just sitting there not saying anything.
I love the imagery in this movie.
Yeah, that was like,
it was cool.
Creepy. She runs away from the unseen horse. As she's running, we get like a dolly shot of her being chased down the aisle in the church until she's hit from behind by a mysterious force. It doesn't hurt her, but it does like have an impact. But she turns around and doesn't notice, or she goes outside. She doesn't seem injured, but she doesn't notice that while she's outside, there's a pale figure in the background closing the door to the church. And we never learn what that was about.
So I have theories.
All right, let's do
So
it.
we know that this thing can spread like through like a bunch of different ways, right? Mainly dermal, right?
Yes.
So she put her hand in that hole, and I know it was like I thought she was the first one to be infected.
Well, we know that's not true.
Well, do we though? Because she heard the horse.
Yeah, but Lotta...
She saw the figures.
Lotta heard the horse too.
But I think she's been the whole time.
I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
think that Lisa is ever infected. Or, well... I mean, eventually.
Like, you want to rethink that statement?
Yeah, let me back that one up. So, like, eventually she does.
She got it worst of all out of everybody.
I agree. All right, but still, I don't think at this point that she's infected. I think it's just creepy goings-ons, because I think that despite even now, when as of yet the contagion isn't loosed, that there's just creepy stuff about the church, like because of all of the evil there.
It's like it's getting power because people are like giving it energy. I don't know.
Or just it just like they did everything they could to contain the evil, but it's still that powerful.
Sure.
That it can like work its way, it can make itself known.
Damn jackhammer.
Yeah, that jackhammer's got it all started. We now see where Father Gus went. He opens the case that he was carrying to reveal a bow and arrow. And he's just like shooting this arrow like with full power, like full archer mode. He has like a vision of a Teutonic knight running at him, and he looses an arrow. But he hit his target that he was aiming at and punched straight through it.
Like dead center, like yeah.
Like it went all the way through. It's like,
Like an
man,
anime.
what a badass this dude is.
I kind of like when this happened. I'm like, okay, this movie's gonna get wild. I was kind of hoping that it was gonna turn into like.
He never uses the bow and arrow.
I know. Like I thought it was gonna be like Demon Hunter. This guy's gonna be like a Blade kind of character. You know what I mean?
That would have been rad.
I know.
Back in the church, the bishop is using like a protractor and a compass to trace the degrees on some kind of series of stars. What?
Makes sense.
Yeah, he's just like trying to track like the day, like there's some kind of like astral reason to tell, I guess, when the demons are going to wake up. I don't really know.
I feel like he knew more than he let on.
The bishop?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, he knew everything. We can get into it when we get there, but he basically info dumps on Father
up on
Father
the
Gus.
spire or whatever.
Yeah,
yeah,
because he kind of tells him like he knows everything's happening and he's okay with it. But where was I at? Oh yeah, Evan's crossing through the now empty sanctuary, or at least it looks empty. He's startled by some indoor birds. You know how it is when you have those indoor birds. He crosses over the burial area of the cathedral where the builders buried. Alarmed by a sudden jump scare bird while he's there. He reads the inscription on the grave, that which was entrusted to you, keep safe. Then he goes to a room beyond where the two monk statues are. That the monk statues are like the sentinels over the builder's grave. I don't know if I mentioned that, but that's like the builder's grave area.
And the bishop loves to like get involved and be the third sentinel.
He does. He likes it. Yeah, he considers himself to also be a sentinel. We get some. Hey, let me tell you something. If you like darkened corridors, baby, you're about to be fully. Yeah, you're about to be like at 100% power because there's literally so many darkened corridors. So I think I put in my notes like if you're a fan of darkened corridor porn, here it is. Because Evan's using his flashlight to Doom 3 his way through these like archways and halls and the catacombs. Eventually, I thought you'd get a kick out of my Doom 3 reference.
I loved it.
Eventually,
can he hold his gun and a flashlight at the same time? I don't know.
He can in the remake or the remaster.
Yeah, that was so lame.
I know. That was the scariest part.
That ruined that game.
Did I ever tell you back when I played Doom 3 like the first time around when it came out on like the Xbox, they had the co-op and I was too scared to play it anyway but co-op. So I'd play with my buddy Kevin and there was like all those dark areas and he would hide and wait for me and jump out. So he would be the one scaring me.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, because he knew I was jumpy. So I was playing this so that I would not be scared, and now you're using this against me. But yeah, eventually Evan gets down to the area that we saw before in the movie, like where the cross was dropped into over the mass grave. He cleans the head off of the front of the cross. It's like a kind of not a statue, more like a relief, like a brass relief on top of the cross. That is a 7-eyed demon. There it is, the 7 eyes he was looking for. 7 eyes for 7 brothers. The musical, right? Isn't that the musical?
I think.
So he grabs a pickaxe from nearby because, of course. And then Evan unadvisedly pries the 7-eyed demon head seal from the cross. I put that in my notes, unadvisedly, revealing a gaping hole. And he shines the light in, but it's like so deep and so dark that you can't see anything. Then the cross. So this is the weird part. There's stuff that seems to be happening, but isn't really happening right now. So it seems like the cross falls into the abyss. And then we get like a rushing headshot that comes towards him, which hits him with a gust of wind. And then suddenly the area beneath there is like glowing an otherworldly blue. Evan is not fazed by this development, and he pulls like a sack from the cross hole and opens the sack, only to have like a bunch of bloody sets of hands reach out from the hole in the ground and grab him by the throat. So very scary scene. It was actually really scary for me because when he first opened it up, he's like sticking his head into the hole. Like, don't put your head into a gaping hole into a blackened abyss that you uncovered in a basement of a church, you freak.
That smell though.
Oh yeah, with all them corpses in there.
Yeah,
yeah, it's good, pretty goopy as we see later.
So many butts,
a lot of butts.
But yeah, then butts.
That's a lot of butts. But then we cut to him like actually just alone next to the little hole from the demon crest. The cross hadn't fallen. but his hands are bloodied. And he notices that the blood on his hands is from when he cut himself on a shard of glass in the demon head hole that he opened on the cross. And that's when he gets infected, in my opinion, with the contagion. Because I think that was put there so that anyone who opened it would catch it. Like cut themselves and then catch it. So he hears footsteps approach, so he replaces the seven-eyed demon crest and goes to hide as Lotta approaches. She's going out again, but then her father, the sacristan, is coming after her. He doesn't want her going out being a floozy. And then this is a pretty wild scene. So, what is it? Evan, the sacristan doesn't know the way that Lotta knows. So Evan, now wounded, like gasps because he's hurting, which draws the sacristan to him. And then when the sacristan like moves his light to Evan's face, Evan just like stiff arms him in the nose, knocking him out.
Awesome.
That was like it was a pretty creepy scene with Evan just standing in the dark waiting for
it was
the sacristan.
but like there was the pause of him not, because like when he turns around, there is a longer moment than you would think of where Evan decides to hit him.
Yeah,
it was just kind of like, all right, who's gonna move first? It was kind of funny.
I just don't understand why Evan hit him. Like he works there, he's allowed to be there, but he hit him. Back at Lisa's house, she's fallen asleep while reading that Fulcanelli book. So ill portent for their relationship if she can't even stay awake to read his book. She's dreaming about ticking watches, a fountain statue of a goat head, and then her reaching into the fountain down to her arms, rambling about how cathedral design is part of some like greater cosmic design beyond our knowledge. Like they really put a lot of juice on this idea that like cathedrals there's something otherworldly about cathedrals. It's like, nah, that's just a type of architecture, dude. Nothing that crazy, like
that we know.
Putting a lot of juice onto this idea. No, but we have like we can trace the history of architecture. Like we know how they came about and why. Like it's not like it was random.
Apparently, you haven't seen Ancient Aliens, so
sure, yeah, aliens came and built churches. Are you doing? Oh, you're doing the bit, the aliens. So saved by a phone call, Lisa is awoken with her phone ringing. It's Evan, who's outside some kind of diner. But then as he's talking to her, he starts to demon out, choking and grunting out words. Lisa hangs up as Evan looks at his hands. And then he, opens his shirt and then, reaches into his own, chest to pull out his heart. To some sudden synth music as the heart is seemingly offered up to some kind of demon realm.
It was cool.
He holds it out. Yeah, it's got demon hands holding the heart. And I don't think that was really happening. I think that was mostly
symbolic.
Yeah, a kind of a formalistic way of showing that he's lost to us now. But then we get sped up shots of a vehicle driving down the European streets. Uh-oh. Now at Lisa's house, someone's watching from her window as she's preparing some snacks. She hears some footsteps, and after a fake-out scare from the footsteps walking around, she sees in the window a goat head man staring at her.
Seven-eyed goat.
Demon goat. Demon goat. But then it disappears, and then she hears the sound of her door being unlocked, like someone fumbling with the lock on her door. Then suddenly the window breaks, and she flees to another room to try to call the police. The phone is ripped from her hands because the demon goat monster grabs the phone cord and is pulling it. And then I give her a lot of credit, man. Her will to survive is crazy high.
Window jump.
It's like Roger from Night of the Demons level skills. Like she runs and just fully head first out the window, just dives through the glass. She flees and runs directly into the police. And I was putting my notes, what is the Italian, or I guess German, police response time, man? They're like, wow, you're lucky that she's ranting about a monster. And then the cop is like, you're lucky we traced your call. It's like, yeah, dude, because that was 30 seconds ago. You guys got there so quick. Because you gather that her little cabin ain't in town. Like, were they already on the way? Like,
and the cop looked like Munch from Law and Order.
Wait, Richard Belzer?
Yeah, I literally looked it up. Like, is this Munch? Like, it's not.
Who was it though?
It wasn't Munch. That was pretty sad.
It was Mikola Soavi, baby. It was
our
our director himself. Yeah.
So he kind of looks like Munch.
Well, do you know the Law and Order lore?
What's up?
Do you know the Law and Order lore about Detective John Munch?
Was he an Italian filmmaker?
He started out as a homicide detective in Baltimore in the show Homicide: Life on the Street. Then he moved to New York and then started working for SVU. And his character also appears in X-Files as John Munch. So I'm pretty sure that there's like some kind of record where Richard Belzer's John Munch has appeared as the same character in the most shows.
He's like he's like the man with the hat from like Half-Life.
Yeah, he's like the man with the hat from Half-Life. I pretend I get what you mean. I don't know the Half-Life.
Or the guy, there's a guy in a suit that, never mind.
Spoiler alert for Half-Life.
Yeah, you've had 20 years or 30 years. Like,
and then how long do you think I'll have till Half-Life 3?
At least a millennia.
Forever? Yeah. All right. Oh, now we hey, let's get to the sacristan. What's he up to? I was wondering if he would be dead after that shot because he got stiff armed straight to the nose. But no, he's just cleaning himself off. He starts getting like a goopy orange pus dripping from his face.
Sure does.
So that's how we know that he's been infected with the demon virus.
Demoned.
He's getting demonized. So now we get to a pretty weird part of the movie. If you weren't already all right with everything that was happening, we're about to get to a very weird part where they're just going to throw a ton of characters at us and be like, "You good? You down for all this?" So,
sure about that?
You sure about that? You sure about that? That's what that means? So there's some kind of photo shoot going on outside the church. It just involves a bunch of women modeling wedding dresses. I don't know if they were actually getting married or if they were just modeling the dresses. I gather that they're just modeling.
I thought they were modeling and they lied to the church to let them take the photos.
I believe that is the case.
Yeah.
And they refer to the main wedding dress, the one that I'll henceforth be calling wedding dress lady, because someone says that she's a princess, but like they never reference that again. And I was like, is it just like a reference to her? Is she like a diva, like hard to work with?
That's how I took it.
She doesn't really seem that hard to work with, but maybe that's them. Well, hey, don't worry about it. Lisa finds Evan in the library with a candlestick. And she's like, "Oh, you'll never believe this. I was attacked by a monster last night." And he says, "It must have been somebody in a mask."
He's like, "You don't say."
Yeah, he's like so disinterested. Meanwhile, it was him. But then he like tries to get down to business with her. Like he's trying to get hot and heavy in the library with her. She slaps him and heads off. I'm like, is she finally starting to see the light? This dude is just like bad news. Lotta comes in at the end of that fight and asks what's going on. And Evan says, "Must be nerves, but you can never tell with women." I'm like, oh man, he's really showing his colors here. He's a red-pilled chode. And I was like, that's a weird way to talk to a child. And then to make it even worse,
wow.
It looks like he's like checking her out at one point, and I'm like, no, don't let this happen in my movie, please.
Not like this.
Nope. But don't worry, we don't have time for that. We have to introduce all the other people also stuck in this cathedral today. Well, they're not stuck yet, but they're about to be. So the first is a class full of children led by...
Aren't we all stuck?
At the end of the day, yeah. Aren't we all just kind of stuck here?
Aren't we all just like here on this rock?
Yeah. What do you mean here? So yeah, Miss Bruckner is this teacher for all these students. One of the kids is a little know-it-all who like knows everything. He says there's a secret button that can be pressed to collapse a cathedral, and like foreshadowing, kid.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Next is the biker guy and gal who we talked about, Freddie and Joanna. Was it? Yeah. So they're...
You were right. Also, Bruno was the
groom
yeah.
model guy.
Yep.
Okay. Man, I'm so good at this. So they were apparently the biker couple is in the cathedral because their motorcycle broke down and they're just hanging out there. They're running late for a concert and they're having relationship issues because Joanna is talking to another man named Frank. So, trouble in paradise. Then another set of people are there, an older couple who are arguing about whether their phone is working or if they're deaf. If their phones are working or if they're deaf. And I was like, stuff can be two things. Like they can be deaf and the phones can be not working. Evan is having an all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy moment where he's just typing sixes over and over again into his typewriter. Lotta doesn't notice this because she's at his desk listening to music. This is the part where he checks her out because he asks her to open the window. Yeah. He starts to make an approach to her really creepily, and then he asks her why she didn't want to why she didn't go to school today. And then he takes out a knife and threatens to cut open her stomach and see what's wrong with her if she's still feeling sick. And then she understandably flees. So Lotta runs away, knocks over a bookshelf, runs into her father, who at this point, the sacristan is full on demoned up. So he's also holding a knife. So a lot of knives in this church. Lotta tries to tell her father that, what Evan was doing to her. And then he's like, Evan is a good man. You're lying. So he takes her to the bathroom and washes her mouth out with soap.
Like Irish Spring.
Yeah, like a full bar of soap. I'm like, oh. Yeah. But then in the mirror, she sees that he has a demon face, but it looks like an owl. Did you notice that?
Yeah, it was kind of a weird. Oh yeah, it was a weird one.
Yeah, it reminds me of Daytime Owl from the beginning of the movie. I wonder if it's connected. Or maybe it was just because in Stage Fright, the killer wears an owl mask. Maybe Michaela Soavi just loves owls.
Yeah, has an owl thing going
for
on.
Owls. The Lotta, after being basically abused and seeing her father's demon face, she runs away from him, running past Father Gus and almost running into one of the bridal models as she flees. The bridal team now lie, like you said, about getting married today in order to get permission from Father Gus to do some photos inside. He's heading to the confessional. So Sacristan is in the confessional telling Father Gus pretty much the truth about how he's now possessed by evil and wants to do evil things. Then he punches through the confessional wall to try to get to Father Gus, but it doesn't work out. So the sacristan dips. This is the important part though. As he runs, he scratches one of the schoolboys and the groom from the photo shoot. So 2 more infections right away. Down in the, okay. So this is, okay. Never mind. We'll get to it. So down in the basement, sacristan turns on the jackhammer and then impales it through himself.
Yeah, couldn't just use it.
No, he had to put it through his own body, and then he and then uses it to start to crack the floor below. Father Gus tries to try to stop it, but is unable to because again the hammer is in the middle of the sacristan, so he has a hard time. It does break a seal on the floor that triggers a chain reaction where a bunch of stuff falls into a bucket and the church seals itself. Which I guess was something designed by the architect to, if there's a chance that the evil would get out, that the church would seal. So as the church goes to seal, there's some mechanisms, mechanical bits that are turning to make it happen. The long train on the bride's head dress thing for the gown. It doesn't really look like the train's on the head. It looks like it's coming out the back, which is very weird for a wedding dress. Anyway, it gets caught in the mechanism of the door, which traps the bridal model in the door as it shuts. She can't move from there. The bishop watches as a Latin tablet flips, revealing the truth about demons being sealed here, and that's why the door's shut. So the bishop must be like, hell yeah, this is the thing I was doing with my protractor and compass last night.
This is what I knew.
This is what I desired.
As it was written.
Yeah. As it was written in my book. So we go back to our strange crew. The bride is struggling. She's stuck to the door. She says she can't breathe. She's getting hot. Groom guy, I think it was Bruno. He is demonized. He's going full demon. He's
full demon.
He's like choking and sputtering and dripping. The know-it-all kid explains that old medieval cathedrals were designed to only have one entrance. Fire hazard much. And the biker couple are now angry that they can't go to their concert. It's like, well, I think your bike was still broken, buddy. I don't think that was going to get fixed with you sitting
Frank's
in the
going to have to wait.
Yeah, Frank's going to have to wait. Father Gus goes to the Reverend and says they have to call the police and get everyone out of here. The Reverend is like, I don't follow your orders. Again, seems racial. But then Father Gus is like, yo, the Saxon is dead. There's a corpse in the basement. You gotta call the cops. And then Reverend decides to do it. The old lady is lighting a bunch of candles and talking about how they should call the fire brigade. But then she like takes issue with Father Gus looking at her, and I'm like, oh, more racism.
Right.
Yeah. So like, yeah, there's quite a bit of racism coming to Father Gus's way. So we go to the Reverend. He's like trying to make a call, finds that the phones aren't functioning, because horror movie. We've seen this. We've seen these.
Seen it.
We've seen it.
Calls coming from within the church.
But then he sees something coming towards him that we don't see, and he starts to pray. Do you think it was the goat man?
I think it would have to be.
They didn't show it. I mean, they didn't want to like wring all of the juice of that goat man out right now. They want to save some of it for later.
You know, I was just thinking about something. So the horses, the clopping, all the like the pale people, the robes, those are all the Teutonic knights. So I think they were trying to stop all this somehow, like with their creepy ghostness.
Maybe. But remember that one of the horses was buried with them because it fell in.
True, there's Demon Horse now.
There's Demon Horse now.
Damn, Mr. Ed.
They got Demon Horse now. That they fly now, but Demon Horse now? That didn't work. Now we can't cut it out. It's stuck in the ether now forever. Yeah, so whatever. Reverend's dead. Or is he? Back in the sanctuary.
Foreshadowing.
Wedding dress lady is panicking because she's still stuck and she's sweating and she can't breathe. Yada, yada, yada. The photographer lady goes to Lisa and asks for a knife so they can just cut the dress out from on her. They hadn't done that yet because apparently the dress is like rented or something. They had to return it. But I think now because it's been like, presumably, again, time doesn't make a lot of sense. But you gather it's been hours they've been stuck here. The groom, now suffering from full demonry, is comforted by a little girl and then just wanders off. I put in my notes probably to do some more demon stuff. The bishop is in his quarters doing some Latin. He tears a page out of his book it shows some pretty evil looking art. I think that he thinks that this picture will like help someone stop the demonry or whatever.
Yeah.
But later on, Father Gus does find the picture and has no idea what it means. It's like, I have no idea what any of this means.
Yeah, and in fact, it's the Latin that the bishop recites to him that helps him figure out what's going on.
Well, we'll get there, but the bishop literally tells him what to do. And then he wasn't paying attention, I guess, and then has to find it later when Lotte explains it to him. So, yeah, Father Gus has a lot of opportunities to figure out what's going on and is not doing a good job of it. Bishop is in his quarters. What is it? The groom goes to some holy water and looks at like the worsening damage to his face when suddenly like a demon fish pops out of the water and is like eating his face. But then Father Gus is looking at him and doesn't see anything. The guy's just like freaking out and having some kind of like episode. So that's like one of the many times we're going to find out that these demons have the power of illusion. So, hallucination is happening. The audience will not be seated as people work to cut the wedding dress off of the lady. She asks for water, so Lisa wanders off to get some. Joanna, the biker lady, sees the demon fresco on the wall disappear.
Yeah, this is when it starts getting weird.
Oh, just now? Is it just now getting weird?
So is something being released into the church to kill these people?
What's that?
Is there anything like, because like everyone's starting to act weird, even, or is the contagion just spreading like wildfire now?
I think the contagion is spreading. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, so because it seems like you can just like be in contact with somebody to make it happen. So yeah, I think that's what's happening. Lisa finds like the gargoyle face that she saw in her vision earlier. And as she's trying to fill up the water, she starts getting interested in getting a drink for herself. So she like drops the glass into the water and leans in for some mouth to mouth action with the gargoyle thing to like drink straight from its mouth, getting baby birded by this fountain. The biker dude, finds that Joanna's missing. So he goes looking for her. That know-it-all nerd kid tells Miss Bruckner, the time. And then right as he does that, she like starts and then drops her glasses, and then the demonized kid from earlier takes her glasses. And I put in my notes because demons hate eyewear.
Makes sense.
So yeah, Freddy finds his girlfriend, and she's like naked and embracing like a demonic version of like Evan that's like full like snake demon. It was really weird, and apparently that's a Boris Vallejo painting that they just decided to recreate for no real reason. They like scoot away behind a pillar, but then as soon as he goes around the pillar, Joanna's just there, yelling at him. I actually have in my note Joanna because he says her name, so I did figure it out.
Nice.
He's like one of the smartest characters in this movie because he's like, we got to get out of here. Like as soon as he had like one hallucination, he's like, we got to dip. The kids right now seem to be like going children of the corn here because they seem to be setting up Miss Bruckner. So the one kid's like, we found your glasses. So like they take her to where the glasses are. Then we see an unseen person remove the series of iron fencing, spiked fencing, and start running, like it's going to hit the wedding dress lady. But then she's cut free just in time. And then like, as it's running, you see some of the kids run out of the way, like they know it was going to happen. Mm-hmm. And then, right at that moment, Miss Bruckner stands up with her glasses just in time to see that like the fencing's coming and it stabs her through the neck. And was it the sacristan carrying it?
It was.
So he's back from the dead. Nice. It's just, I guess it's demonry. That's just demonry for you.
Demons.
It's demonic. So the kids are all getting restless now. One of them is playing the trumpet. One of them's like crying and rubbing his eyes and saying it's like a contagious disease and I've got it. So it's like, oh, one of the kids figured it out. Then he's talking to his friend. He's like, they say that you can look at the face of your best friend when you sleep or something. I don't really understand this whole thing.
Yeah, they had like a weird like confessing love for this kid, basically.
Yeah. It's like, you're my best friend, and if I close my eyes, I can see you in my sleep or something. And then he asks if his friend will like watch over him while he sleeps. But then after a beat, the kid reaches up and grabs his friend. So I'm guessing he's spreading the demon disease to him. So I put in my notes, I don't know if they're going to make out or if it's demonry.
Yeah, right. It was they jump cut instantly.
Yeah,
Smash cut.
Yeah, we're not going to know any more about this. Our biker couple go to the basement to look for a way out. And then conversely, the old couple are going upstairs. The old lady says like, I bet you there's something groovy up there. It's like, all right, don't try so hard, lady. But she wants to ring the bells is her thing. It's like, but don't the strings for bells, like they aren't all the way up by the bells. So yeah, biker couple continue their underground trek as the old couple get to the bells. But then again, she's like, I can't find the string. Smash cut to Lotte partying it up at a local disco. She asks her companion, Simon, to take her home because she's got a bad vibe about something. But he says no, he's having a good time. And she tells him that she hates him. He's like, all right, well, you're not entitled to a ride home from Simon. He's partying. Okay, here we go. Important weather. It starts storming like crazy. This is important because the bishop is reflecting his wrath. The bishop's holding a candle, watching the storm. Father Gus asks him what in God's name is happening, and Bishop's like, it's the devil's name. This is kind of like an info dump. So Father Gus says that this is holy ground, and the bishop's like, yeah, dude, Satan hates holy ground. It's his least favorite ground. And we get an info dump about how the doors were sealed by the architect who built the place because the demonic plague had escaped. So that was like, it's like, you know, some kind of fail-safe that went into effect. The bishop says there's nothing to be done now. it's either get demonized or destroy the cathedral and die. It's like the only way out. He tells Gus about a secret document that explains how to destroy the church. And then he literally says it's in the mouth of the architect. So that's the first time that they explain that it's in the mouth of the architect. The bishop, however, wants to let the plague out. He thinks the world is too sinful and deserves to be destroyed by demons. So he doesn't want to keep the plague here or destroy the church. He wants to let it out. They have a brief struggle where the bishop is like ripping apart the whatever document he was holding. The one that we saw earlier that, again, doesn't really tell you anything.
Just a picture of like
of them
Teutonic
burying,
Knight killing and burying a
just like what the knights did. Yeah, that doesn't really help with this. But during their struggle, the bishop like falls and gets like impaled on some wrought iron fencing. It's like full on like Mortal Kombat fatality style.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Lotta finally arrives to find that the door is sealed. And you can see like the train from the wedding dress in there. And also the bells are ringing. Hey, how's the old woman ringing the bells?
I love that so much, dude. It was so funny.
She's using the severed head of her husband to smash against the bells. And she's having a great time.
Yeah.
She's having a good day.
Well, it was funny because the scene they're like in there and she's trying to ring the bell. And she can't get it to work. She's like, you know what? I have an idea. And then it cuts away.
Oh, yeah.
And then it cuts back and she's slamming his head off the bell.
Yeah. It's like her idea was cut off his head somehow. Yeah. So, we go back to our pal, the biker couple. So now we've dealt with the old couple. What's the biker couple going to do? They get to like a dead end in like some underground, chamber. Joanna's freaking out about how they're now trapped. Then the guy hears like some kind of rustling below. So he hits a rock against the ground and then discovers that it sounds hollow. So he uses like a piece of metal and then a hammer to start like chiseling at the ground below them. He succeeds way too well. They both fall into like a chamber that opens up. This is a pretty funny part. He's like holding on to the wall and holding on to her, trying to pull them both up. And then the music starts going wild, getting more of that like crazy synth music stuff. And then you see a light off to the side of the darkness. Oh no, Shane, what is it? Like, what's in this chamber with light? Oh, it's an oncoming train. They tunneled into a subway tunnel. And then they just both get pulverized by this train. The ironic part is they probably could have just fallen that distance. It wasn't that far.
Right, yeah.
They would have
like
lived
10 feet.
Yeah. But instead they get like totally smashed by that train. You get a brief shot of Joanna just like splattering on splattering onto the front of the train. Back in the sanctuary, the kids are laughing. One of them in a helmet is like pretending to ride a horse, and another boy he's like, I got a horse too, and then he starts like galloping. I'm like, I don't understand. I don't understand what's happening. I think the kids are just going insane. Now, in some other room, the bride is worried about being left alone. She starts freaking out that she needs a mirror so she can see herself. She does manage to find one. I kind of skipped something there. So, the bride is in that room with Lisa in that side room. But Lisa's like, I need to go find Evan. And she just like dips. And the bride is like, why are you leaving me? Like bridal dress lady. But then she decides she's more interested in finding a mirror. There's a mirror covered with like a blanket of some kind. And then this is a part that you tell me if this makes any sense. So there's like a nun painting that starts crying. And the tear starts going down to the mirror that the bridal dress lady is looking at herself in. And then as soon as she touches the tear water to like see what it is, she sees her face as an old woman face. And she's like, what happened to my face? And she starts clawing at her own face, both in the mirror and in the real world. Like in the mirror world, the old lady face is getting its face torn up. And then her real world face is getting torn up. But we see her later and her face is fine.
I mean, that tracks. But like, I think they heal. I think the demon healing.
Oh, yeah, based on the fact that the sacristan had a
jackhammer
in him. Yeah. It was in his body. Down in some corridor, Lisa walks by a relief of some knight and then suddenly, in the next shot, she appears to be naked. She is. We'll find out more. Father Gus is trying to piece together the torn remains of the parchment that the bishop was carrying. And Lisa, now naked, is laying down on some kind of stone like tablet like in the basement. She's suddenly flanked on all sides by like the adult people in the church. They didn't bring any kids in there for reasons that are pretty obvious. You can't have kids in there with some naked lady.
They have some decency.
Yeah, these demons, like, they're not monsters.
Right.
So yeah, it's basically all the adults now that are flanking where she's laying down, chanting something in some kind of like hushed tone, like they're almost hissing it. Then Evan is at the middle of them, like he's shirtless. One of like the possessed priests starts painting like symbols on Lisa and what appear to be blood. Then Evan gets on top of her to, I guess, you can figure out what he's about to do.
Wait, what is he going to do?
Intercourse.
Okay.
But then as soon as she opens her eyes to look at him, it's no longer Evan's face, but a goat-headed demon man. So she is nonplussed by this.
Yeah.
Father Gus gets the picture assembled, and he looks at it and he's like, I have no idea what this means. So, but then he turns to another page that shows like the cross on the ground, and then that seems to tell him something. I don't know what. But I'm confused because the bishop literally told him in the mouth of the builder is where it is, like in the mouth of the architect. Like he knows how to do it. Lotta comes in and screams, and then he puts his hand on her mouth like, yo, don't be screaming. Like we got some nonsense afoot.
Got demons.
Yeah, he asks her about how she got in. But she's too busy being traumatized because she saw what was going down in the catacombs, like what was happening down there.
Yeah, she did.
Because her parents are down there. Because, she had to go buy it to go in and out. Lotta tells him about a hole in the basement that no one but her knows about, that she uses to go in and out of the church. Then she looks at a picture that Father Gus had, and as she's looking at the picture, she sees like the kid with the basket face, which was apparently her. You're telling me. And now she has a vision, right? So she explains to Father Gus everything. The village was considered to be full of devil worshippers. It was destroyed by the knights. The architect who built the church was tortured. We get like a scene of that guy being tortured. He says that the contagion is just science. It's not the devil. And then they accuse him of being an alchemist. And he's like, you call everything you don't understand alchemy. And then he's like, I did everything you asked me to build this church. Because he was apparently part of the village, right? Is what we were getting at. But he was like the one who built the church. And then they put the way to destroy the church into his mouth. And then have him sealed away. And then they threaten to excommunicate anyone who tries to bury another person in this church. So there you go. Info dump time. Father Gus goes to find the tomb of the architect. There's some chanting going on around them. One of the stone monks that's like standing guard over it turns, and there's a dude in there. Lotta screams. She was not ready for that. But hey, don't worry about that. We're going to cut to the most awkward scene in the movie, which is the goat demon man boning down on Lisa while everyone else is just hanging out there.
They put some time into this one.
Yeah, they really did. That's a full demon outfit. And Lisa, seems to be just kind of like letting this happen now. Or she actually seems like she's in some kind of trance, probably part of this ritual. Meanwhile, in a circle flanked by candles, everyone else is still doing like their hiss chants. Lotta takes Father Gus to the hole that she uses to go in and out. But then as he's going by, he realizes, no, I have to stop this. And he tells Lotta to go without him. He says some nonsense about how he'll join her when he can. He knows he's going to die, but he's got to finish the fight, as John the Spartan would say in Halo. Demonized people are still chanting. Finally, the cross on the ground they were all surrounding like collapses, and the camera like pans around all the candles until it goes down into the pit, where we now see all of the bodies of the villagers covered in like gross, what I hope is mud,
just butt out.
Yeah, they all of them have butts out. They're just fully covered in gross
just twerking.
goo. Yeah, they're moving butts. It's crazy. Father Gus gets to the tomb of the architect and finally does the thing that he should have done all along, which is he pulls the stone piece from the mouth of the architect statue.
At first he couldn't read it, so he punches the...
he just punched it. Yeah, he punches like a hole in the...
He punches a hole into the tablet that had the writing on it.
Yeah, which I don't understand how that helps him read it. But
You're like, in the mouth of the architect.
Oh yeah, the mouth. So he like pulls the mouth thing out, and then that kind of opens up a mechanism. Like this mechanism starts churning. It opens up the tomb. You see the actual like corpse of the architect in there on some kind of like big, huge, like mechanical, like gear device, like a series of gears device. In the sanctuary, we see the corpses of all the villagers rising up in some kind of like gross, muddy stack. It's super gross looking. Father Gus does pull the pin from the mouth of the architect, which causes the clockwork mechanism to start turning. And then it's like instantly collapsing, like the church starts to collapse.
Yep.
Father Gus is Father Gus is almost immediately hit by a piece of an archway. So he's toast. The dead demonic villagers are still rising up, but the church is collapsing on them. So presumably we've achieved victory against demon villagers because they're now buried. Except they're just going to clean this up and find those people. Like, yeah, right. It's not like they're buried forever. Later, we see what remains of the church standing. I think the steeple is still standing. Some of the walls. It's cordoned off, and like you said, the sign is in German. We get a little bit of info dump as a tour guide is explaining that there was some kind of mysterious science that caused the church to collapse. The steeple is spared, but it's all in precarious shape, so it's dangerous for anyone to approach the site, which I guess is how they explain getting the bodies of all the dead people out of there who died when it collapsed. I find it hard to believe they're just going to leave them to rot in there. Lotte comes to the site of the church. She's carrying some flowers. She slips through the fence, finds a picture of her parents, and replaces the older flowers with the new ones. But then suddenly, like right next to there, she sees the seven-eyed demon relief on the ground next to her. She pushes dirt away, gets distracted by loud noises in the area, like a plane or something.
Trains,
and then by the time,
like a Mack truck or like
some kind of machinery. And that was enough for like the demon relief head to get impatient and just like flies off into the other part of the neighborhood. Lotte looks down and sees a blue glow down there, and whatever she sees, we don't see what she sees, but she smiles because we see her face. The music starts up again, and that's movie. So presumably she, restarted the demon plague, I guess. I don't know. So there you go. The church.
The church.
The church. It's definitely one of the movies of all time.
It is a movie that happened in time. In memoriam.
Time. All right. Well, it's been a while, but I think I remember how this goes.
Well, what do you think is next?
I think what's next is our McMurder of the movie.
We're so cool.
Oh, for sure.
Dude, I hope that actually comes through.
What, do you think it won't?
I don't know.
Why are we doing all these sounds if there's a chance they're not going to come through?
Who cares? I've got one, and I actually will judge you if this isn't yours.
All right. I think I know which one I want to choose, but now I'm wondering which one you think I should want to choose.
3, 2, 1, and we say it, or do you want to go one at a time?
Yeah, we can do 3, 2, 1. See if we agree.
All right, count it off.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Train.
Subway. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I jumped ahead way too soon.
I mean, it has to be the train, because when I'm watching this, I'm like, because there weren't a lot of deaths, and the fence post scene where he's like running through the church and impales her with like the wrought iron fence. I'm like, that was pretty sick. And then moments later, the train thing happens. I'm like, this is it.
It's just because it's so funny because they like fall through and they think that there's like, they can't see the bottom, so they assume it's some kind of chamber. And it turns out it's just a train tunnel, and they could have easily gotten away.
Well, it was cool too because it was like one light. And she's like, oh, it's like, what is that? And she's like, kind of cocked her head a little bit, and there's 2 lights. And it just smash cut to her face exploding on the glass of the subway. car. I was like, yes.
Yeah, it's got to be the subway.
It was
the
so
subway
good,
death.
dude.
Yeah. Yeah, the only other one that I thought would be a good, contender would have been the sacristan getting a jackhammer through him, but
Sure.
he didn't stay dead because of the demon disease. So
Right,
he came
and then he
back.
did it to himself.
He did do it to himself, but it was still pretty gruesome, which is it was like an unexpectedly gruesome death in this movie.
I think my honorable mention is the wife cutting her husband's head off to ring the bell with. I thought that was pretty funny.
That was cool. The only downside is we don't see how she just didn't see her do it.
It was super unexpected. I was like, I did not expect that. I thought that was really funny.
I had to do a dog double take and rewind it and be like, what?
Yeah. Cool. Well, we did it.
We did do it.
I knew it was going to be an easy one. That was
that one was an easy one. Although I say my honorable mention was probably the bishop getting Mortal Kombat fatality onto those, getting knocked off.
was
that
pretty
thing.
cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, now that we've got our McMurder the movie covered, let's move on to the judgment categories. Oh, do you not have music for this? Oh. Nice.
You can't tell there's a theme to the music, right?
Is it church related?
It is church related.
Why? Maybe because the movie is the church?
I tried so hard to find good synth music that matched the epicness of the synths in this movie. I couldn't find any. So
I think you're right doing church music. How long is this last? Okay. It's like, is this just forever now?
yeah, it's just
All right.
church music now until the end of the episode.
All right, yeah, so judgment categories. It's been a while, but just to remind everyone, we do a letter grade for the categories, which are story, which includes writing, acting, effects, music, which can also include sound design, and then cult factor. Cult factor being that little X factor that makes these movies so special. So let's start out with story.
I'm interested to see what you think about this. I really like this a lot. And I haven't really put a letter grade in my head to this, but I do like the thought of like Teutonic Knights, like ancient, like, hey, we got to seal this off. There's no way they could have prepared for modern society. Because like, think of how close they were to unearthing that with the subway, right?
Yeah, they had to have been like right.
You know what I mean?
next
Like,
door
yeah,
to
it's just such a cool concept. And there's already a lot of mystery that surrounds the Catholic Church. I mean, they literally have sacristans. Like, so, I think this hits a lot of different boxes for me that I think are cool. So I was thinking B, but I could do A, but I think, I don't know. A lot of the things that I liked aren't really story related, I guess. So
I think they took maybe a bit too big of a swing with the story in some ways. It was a little more complicated than it needed to be. So one of the things that we kind of see in the flashbacks is like, so the knights are cruel. They murder this village. They kill all these people. They bury them. They build a church to keep them sealed in. But the architect later on says, it's all science. Like, there's no devil here or whatever. Except that there is a full goat man. Like, and also these people are functionally immortal, apparently, and spread this horrible disease. Is like, this architect seriously trying to tell me this is just science? It doesn't seem very sciencey to me.
has he seen the goat guy? Because
Have you seen the goat man?
Yeah. Sir, we'll raise you one goat man.
Yeah, I see what you have to offer, and I will show you this goat man. So I think I'm fine with B. I do think it was a little bit overcomplicated in some ways. And maybe I would say maybe like 15 minutes longer than it needed to be.
Yeah.
Because it really went in on like but all that stuff at the church at the end is necessary because even though some of it is just like long sections of like people just doing stuff, just like events, it's necessary to show like the devolution of these people, like how as they start to get infected and start to do all these different things. So maybe I wouldn't shave off time. I think it was just a little too busy for its own good. And it's probably because they wanted to show the effects of this illness and how it spreads and what it does to people. Because now I find myself wondering if the goat man was even real or if it was like a hallucination.
Like a hallucination.
But also, Lisa saw it before she was infected, so now
right.
I don't think.
But that was kind of why I was saying, like, was she actually infected? Because she did touch the parchment that said how to open the tomb.
Yeah, but it wasn't the parchment that was infected. It was when he cut his hand going into there.
Sure.
And she hadn't seen him yet since then.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's like I said, there's just some things of the plot that I think were a little too busy. But I think B is solid. I think it's a solid grade for it.
It's fair. Stern, but fair.
Yeah, you listening, Michela Suavi? I'm giving you a B on this story. It's a little bit too busy. Next up is acting. I actually was quite impressed with our leads in this. I think some of the rank and file people, like at the end there, like all the people in there, maybe not so great. But like Evan is this like maniac who's weirdly obsessed with getting power from underground church reliquaries. Father Gus was just a badass. He just ruled. Lisa, like, is really funny as a character that clearly has horrible taste in men, like and can't read
goats.
Like and goats and can't read a red flag to save her life.
Yeah.
Even Lata, even though she's just probably mainly got the role for being Dario Argento's daughter, but she's still I see Argento did fine. I think she did a good job. The bishop, like, is a crotchety old jag. He was really fun. So I'm actually inclined to maybe go A with acting. I think that people did really well.
I agree with you, and like not to be redundant, but I even like some of the supporting roles, right? Like I know this is stupid, but like the biker couple that were kind of fighting. The students, I thought even the kids did a pretty decent job at being annoying children. But like not in like a overbearing way. Like some movies are just unbearable that have child actors. Like I'm thinking of, we did it for our first Salvin season, Devil's Theology. And I'm just drawing a blank. The demon movie with the dog in the backyard.
The Gate. Yeah,
like that was phenomenal. Like those kids did amazing. And I think these kids really held up. The only time that I thought it was kind of strange, and it could have just been how they filmed stuff. The flashbacks I thought could have been a little better, especially with like the Teutonic Knights and stuff. Like it was just kind of weird. But I think it was just kind of meant to show that they were just kind of like of that time, right? More than so maybe it was not as like the guy, like the main guy with the braid. Just like, I don't know, just some of the delivery was kind of stupid, but no, I think A is definitely earned. I think everyone did a great job.
Nice.
Like I wasn't sitting there thinking like dear God, I hope this ends soon. Like through even like some of the scenes where they have like dialogue that's longer than you think it would be or should be, like the car ride or like stuff like that. So.
Well, I also appreciated Evan's transformation. I think he played that really well. Like when he went from being just kind of a blowhard, full of himself like guy to being like, oh, I'm going crazy. I'm going to threaten a young woman with a knife. Like we got to watch that transformation. I thought he portrayed that quite well.
Dude, the sacristan scene where he washed Asia, how do you say her name?
Asia Argento.
Asia Argento's mouth soap. I thought he delivered his performance very well. Like his transformation was crazy too, because I think like what was interesting is when they turned into demons, it did like heighten their character flaw. And I think a few of these actors or actresses did a great job at like really selling that. Like that was their, the sacristan had his problems. Obviously, Evan had his slew of problems, especially with the, I would say, I don't know how to say it without saying he's basically a rapist, but like, you know what I mean? Like he was like treated people like objects and property rather than people.
It was like he pursued Lisa aggressively even before like anything
like
else
taking
happened.
what like power and like, yeah. So I don't know. I liked it. It was good.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. A for acting. So, next up is effects. And I think we should also include in this the Goat Man outfit.
Oh my God, yeah.
Include as part
They
of
had to make it.
They had to make it. They just had to. We couldn't live in a world where we didn't have that.
They had to make up for the piranha fish guy that we didn't get.
Man, that'll like if I ever meet Joe Dante, I'm like, man, I think you're a good dude. But you really left us holding the bag on this like or this like stop motion fish creature. In Piranha,
I think about that daily.
I think about it a lot more than I should, for sure. So yeah, for the effects, so yeah, we got our Goat Man. I think the effects on like the blood scene of the sacristan getting the jackhammer to the middle was pretty solid. The effects in that opening scene were pretty cool, other than the head that gets cut off and then gets like played soccer with a bunch of horses.
Yeah, right.
That was a little bit much, but it was okay. So I'm gonna follow your lead on this one. Whatever you say, I'm gonna agree with you.
So I love the effects in this one. I don't know how to categorize some of the stuff. Like the scene where he rips his heart out is awesome.
Yes. And
but
then it turns
to
into demon hands.
Yeah. Like, is that effects or is that cinematography? Like the weird times where there were just random like pale people or like, I just thought they did such a good job with everything, in terms of like the creepy factor, especially with the goat. I love the goat costume was fantastic.
Goat Man.
Because one thing like that some of these old movies do is they'll have like a goat animatronic, right? Like outside the window like that. This is like a perfect example of this. So like the goat would be outside the window. They might have just made the head or like the upper half of it, but they like straight up made a full goat dude, because they have scenes where he's just going at it and they like, you see full goat. So like they took the time, and I don't know. I appreciate it. The weird, creepy, gooey human mush statue thing that came out of the ground.
That was something.
That was crazy, dude, because that was not CGI. So they had people like lathered in mud and whatever, just twerking on a statue.
Just twerking on a statue.
Just going at it, dude.
They were. I didn't like my first walkthrough. I was like, man, that's a weird, goopy mass of humans. And then the next time I watch it, I'm like watching them like, yeah, jiggling their butts. I'm like, what is happening? Why is this happening?
Like, and one thing like we don't talk about all the time are costume design. And I think between the Teutonic Knights, they nailed that aesthetic. I mean, I hated the helmet. That was dumb, but that's not their fault. I think those are actual real helmets. But, they did the villagers, like the scene where they're all like laying in the ground, kind of like the plague, like mass burial. They nailed the Catholic motif, like the whole Catholic like vibe with a lot of the characters. I don't know, man. I think they knocked out of the park. I'm going to give it an A.
I agree. I was talking my way around it, and I think for me, just the Goat Man alone was such a huge selling point. And then you brought up a lot of extra things I didn't even think about. I definitely didn't even think about like the goopy corpse thing rising out of the ground.
Do you know what was sick? Was the architect thing that he was entombed on, like the mechanism,
the clockwork mechanism.
Dude, that thing was sick.
That was, yeah. It was alchemy. Not since we haven't had a Goat Man like that until what, 2017 when that movie Lamb came out. Did you ever see that?
God.
Or no, 2021 Lamb.
Yeah.
You ever see that one with Noomi
Yeah.
Rapace? Where she like her and her husband lose their kid, and then one of their sheep gives birth to like a bipedal lamb kid.
You know what this goat man reminded me of?
What's that?
Is the VHS short where they're in the Philippines, or not in the Philippines, they're in
Yeah.
is it Cambodia? They're in one of those Southeast Asian countries.
Yeah, it's definitely a Southeast Asian country, and they
I think it's Indonesia. It's Indonesia. It's Indonesia.
Indonesia sounds right.
Yeah.
And then like the guys like they go to investigate this cult, and then the pregnant reporter who's like, or is she already pregnant? Is that how it worked or something like that?
Yes.
I can't remember how it worked,
She,
but basically
the cameraman got her pregnant.
Yeah, and then like the monster like breaks forth, and it's this like giant goat demon monster, and then it chases him, and then at the end of the thing it catches him and it calls him Papa. That was rad. That was a rad
solid
scene. All right, but yeah, we gave an A on effects. Now it's time for music. I mean,
Take it. Let's do it. Bring it home.
It's got to be A. This is just, it's synth action. You got your organ action. You know I'm a man for synths and organs, and I can get them both at once. Yeah, Keith Emerson came out swinging. Philip Glass came out swinging. Goblin is always coming out swinging. You'd think that with that many people involved in the music, it could be too busy, but I don't think it was. I think they chose their moments and their motifs, and they
It was
worked them.
so good.
Yeah.
I actually sat down and thought about what stood out to me the most in this movie, and it was the music. It was so good.
I remembered what it reminded me of, actually. It reminded me of the music in Lair of the White Worm.
Yeah,
Like how it'd be like this really loud,
Yes.
kind of like
this had Lair of the White
dream-
Worm vibes the whole time.
like dream music, like dream style music. It was
But
really interesting.
Even like how it was shot, that's a great comparison.
Yeah, it definitely had like Lair of the White Worm vibes,
Yeah.
for sure. So yeah,
I
I'm
love
inclined
that.
to give it an A. That was just really sick tunes.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm trying to think of the movie we did where there was another church kind of, I don't know. Anyways, I feel like they used the Gregorian chants enough that it like had that vibe, but they didn't go overboard with like the churchy kind of music. I think they really mashed up that flavor very well with like the synth and the synth pop and the heavy drums and stuff. I really, really thought they did a great job.
I guess that's more like what I was thinking, like with like these three different groups working to compose it, but yet the music is still surprisingly restrained until it needs to really burst forth. And I think that's such a good choice for this.
You know, the one thing I will say though, and I'm starting to really like these Italian films. I kind of expect the overdub, right? Like the slight delay, like where you could tell that it's not them actually talking at that moment.
Yeah.
They did such a good job here. Like, did they actually? They overdubbed some of it, but
They overdubbed some of it. I think probably maybe actors that didn't speak English, they probably overdubbed their stuff. But I actually was thinking that too. How it seemed like it was really good. Like maybe they didn't.
it was like too good.
Yeah, it was really good. If it
like,
was overdubbed, it was very good.
So that was kind of like my only criticism of the sound, which isn't a bad criticism, I guess, but like you kind of expect that from these movies and it just wasn't there. So maybe that's why it was so jarring. Then I'm
after all the Italian movies we've been watching, you expected to have that delay, and then you didn't
because
get
they
it.
even overdubbed the English speaking actors too. Like I don't know, but
yeah, there wasn't any of that weird disconnect. I felt like this time
there was like one or two scenes where it was very, like you could tell that they did that, but it was, I think for me, it was when they're outside of the church with the wedding, the photography stuff, because there was no background noise at all. Like the lines were just delivered. Yeah,
I seem to think that the ones that I'm thinking of, I can't think of a specific example, but it seemed to be when someone was speaking off screen. So you couldn't see them. And in those times, it sounded like maybe the balance was a little off. Like it was a little bit too loud, maybe.
Right.
Compared to So that's the only times that that's the only time it stood out to me. But it definitely wasn't enough to deter me.
Solid.
All right. A for the music and sound. It's coming out swinging. Yeah, so I guess now last one is cult factor, that X factor that makes these movies so special. And I think we know where this is going.
Dude, a Rube Goldberg church housing a demon plague that could end humanity. Like, come on.
It's got to be A. Where else can you see this? And all this in a goat man, too?
And they showed it, like, happening. They showed, like, the things mixing and then, like, the gears turning and the sand pouring. Like,
yeah, when they showed, like, the bit where, like, the sand was pouring into the thing that, like, triggered the door mechanism, I'm like,
yeah.
I can't believe that this, like, ancient church still works.
So cool. I like, yeah. It's call factor. It's definitely an A. Like, come on.
Yeah, it was bananas. Yeah, and then whenever, like, the mechanism to collapse the church is just this weird machinery in the ground and
just
under, like, an architect's grave. Yeah. Oh, man. It'd be super funny if, like the gears just got old eventually and rotted away and then just accidentally trigger. And it's like, why did this church collapse? It's like,
yeah,
no one
right.
knows. Well, I'm like I said before, I don't think that collapsing the church onto these demon plague people was a good idea because people are just going to like dig the remains of the church up anyway to like get the bodies of the regular people out.
Was it weird that and we'll never know because they just didn't make anything else about this. They made a point to say that the church spire, what was it called?
The steeple.
The steeple didn't fall.
Yeah.
Which was strange.
Well, and buddy boy, who did we last know that was up in there? The old lady. Because I don't think we saw her in the antechamber.
I think she was chanting during the goat
Was she in
humping.
the chant down the bottom?
I don't know. I'd have to rewatch.
During the goat man intercourse?
I mean, if I had just cut my husband's head off to ring a bell, I don't think I'd miss the Goat Man show either. I'd have to go full demon. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, as long as I've already cut my husband's head off, I'm
in for a penny, in for a pound. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. All right, then. Yeah, cult factor is A. In for a penny, in for a pound. The story of the church. All right. Next up. That's that for the judgment categories. But we're not done yet. Next up is the D-roll.
Kind of.
I feel like I need to start doing some dog things.
Start rolling around and avoid that horse that got buried. It's like, dude, actually, that's the thing that got out. It wasn't the little girl. It was the horse. It just popped away.
Off into the wilderness. Yeah, that was the thing. Is like we only saw the humans coming out of the ground. There was that horse.
And all the ducks and shit.
And all the ducks. Where are these demon ducks?
Dude, that actually, you know what vibe I got for just a brief moment? I'm thinking, what a crazy scene it would be if all these animals reincarnated and it was like, oh my god, I cannot remember anything today with the Joe Piscopo movie we did.
Dead Heat.
Dead Heat, when they're in the Asian market or the butcher shop with all the animals.
All the animals coming back to life.
Like that would have been like a solid scene of all the animals coming out of the ground.
If we had demon ducks and horses showing up in this movie, it would have been a 10 out of 10. Can't miss
10
it.
out of 10.
Yeah. All right, yeah, the D-roll though. Come on now. The D-roll is our little hat on a hat. Like, you know, we're going to do a whole nother rating on top of all of our other letter grades. It's where we slot the movie into a category. The categories being cult classic, B movie, grindhouse, or trash. And hopefully we never show you trash because that would be painful for us as well.
Yep. So some of you don't watch this and we would have to watch it. And that would be...
I still can't believe that one of our friends literally wasted a day to watch Death Ship, after we talked about how bad Death Ship was. He's like had a day off without his kids or whatever. He's like, I'm going to watch Death Ship. It's like, do not. We tried to warn you.
We did, actually. That's like our PSA. It's like, hey, don't watch Death Ship. And then, what was it? Eric was tagging us in like other people's things about Death Ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just in case the Death Ship needs to be brought up more often.
Yeah. So, sorry, Eric. But
we tried to warn you.
What are you feeling? I mean, I have thoughts, but
I really liked this movie a lot. I feel like there's a lot of pressure on that cult classic moniker because it's not, I don't know, sometimes cult classics I feel like puts a certain like expectation on something. But then I think of calling it a B movie. I'm like, there's too many talented people. It's too interesting a movie to be a B movie. So I think I have to say cult classic. This is just one that you don't see a lot of discussion about either. Like, when was the last time anyone brought up The Church to you? Like,
today.
Well, I mean, besides us, obviously.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. And we took actually a pretty significant amount of time to talk about how we wanted to really break these movies down. And when you came up with the D-roll categories, I really think, because we do a lot of movies and we're going to do a lot more like movies. There are some good movies. There are some good bad movies. There are some bad movies, and there are some bad good movies. And I think that like this rubric that we're using, like I agree with you. We put a lot of pressure on that cult factor, like cult classic, those two categories, right? Or like, the D-roll, the cult factor. Cause I don't know why this isn't more popular. I really don't. This seems like it would be just a banger movie. I'm surprised that, is there a reason that people don't like bring this up or talk about it? Or is it just bad timing? Cause there's a ton of movies like this that came out right in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think is, I don't know, it's a little less, like, a lot of people still watch the Demons movies.
Yeah.
Demons and Demons 2. And I wonder if it's just because those ones have a little bit more of a pulpy, campy element to them, and this one's a little more serious about how it takes itself. Like, maybe it was a little too serious for people who... Because I feel like there's two kinds of people who watch cult classic movies. There's ones that want to be entertained by, like, silliness, like the kind of camp factor. And then there's people who, are looking for hidden gems that are, like, good movies, like prestige movies that are unknown. And this one kind of, like, is in this liminal space between those two ideas. Because there is that campy silliness to it from time to time. But it is also a story that takes itself pretty seriously. Like, at the end of the day, like, it's not a yuck 'em up, like, laugh fest.
Sure, right.
So I think maybe it's just in this liminal space between these two extremes of what people look for in these kind of classic movies. So that's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, well, if you're listening to this and you haven't seen this, you should, because for me, this is a cult classic.
Yeah.
This would be one that I would watch again, right? So some of the movies we do, I won't ever watch again.
Never again.
Like Death Ship. This one, I really enjoyed this movie.
Howling 2, Your Sister is a Werewolf.
Yeah. You
had a lot of issues with that. I actually rewatched that not long ago and I had a good time. So
we did talk about, we were really hard on that. That was our first one that just wasn't like a knockout. Everything was, we picked some super solid first couple movies.
Yeah, I think we were a little hard on that. I think it bears reevaluation.
I agree. As I look back, I do think of our time fondly of us talking about that movie. But yeah, for me, this is definitely a cult classic.
Yeah, so audience members, go to your streaming device of choice, navigate to the Tubi application, click search, and then type in THE space CHURCH, and then hit enter, and you will find the church. So I didn't know where I was going. I started that whole thing as a bit, and then I kind of didn't know where
mid spelling. You're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, wait, is that how church is spelled?
Was that wait? Also, Tubi. As much as we pick on Tubi for kind of selling us out, it did recommend a banger for me that I want to watch. Dark Waters, which is a similar kind of theme to this. So I'm gonna throw that on and give that a good watch here soon. So,
well, let me know how it is. Yeah, I'll be checking it out myself.
Yeah, it's a crazy theme. So we texted today. We're like, why didn't we do this for our devilish duology and do this in like demonia or demon? How do you say it? Demenia?
I thought it was demonia.
Demonia.
But, well, okay. There is a reason for it though, and the reason is
because we picked this in January.
I wanted this to come out around Easter time. Yeah, I wanted this to come out around Easter time, so I figured a church-related movie,
Christ has risen. I get it.
Religious horror. I thought it would be a fitting accompaniment for sort of like, I don't know how we were doing an episode on Winter Beast because it was winter. That's going to be coming out in the crack of June here sometime soon.
Ass crack of June.
so yeah, there was a reason for this programming that we kind of got away from us. Well, speaking of, do you want me to go over what we're going to be doing next?
I'm so pumped for this.
All right.
This is my favorite. I think this is probably my favorite thing we do.
Well, yeah, because of our lack of recording, we are bumping right into the summer. In the summertime, as we all know, it's time for the Summer Try/Slash-a-thon.
I don't have the sound effect, sorry.
Oh, no. After all that,
I'll get it. No, I can put it in post. It's fine.
So, yeah, the Summer Try/Slash-a-thon, as people know, is our annual block where we do 3 slasher movies during the summer. It kind of works out perfectly this time since we switched to the monthly schedule for movie releases. So we should be able to get one out in June, one out in July, and one out in August. And, dear listeners, we have already picked your movies. So, buckle up, put the car on cruise control, let your hair down, and go on summer break, baby. I don't know.
Fall break. We're going on a.
So, our movies are as follows. Here's the other thing. We're gonna announce all of them now. So,
get now.
Ready.
And then never again.
Well, what do you mean by that?
I'm just kidding.
So, for our plan for June is a little known slasher called The Prey from 1983.
I'm so excited.
You saw that video I sent you?
Yeah, I sure did, dude. I can't wait.
If you're a fan of sudden cuts to animals, let me tell you, you're in luck. Next up is for July, we're going to be doing a little movie called Maniac, the 1980 classic that basically the ad campaign for it was considered to be promoting violence against women and cause a huge uproar in a couple of major cities about how they marketed that thing. So yeah, the 1980 classic from William Lustig, Maniac, is for July. And then finally, our August pick is going to be a little known gem from 1988 called Doom Asylum, which is more of a silly one. It's going to be, you're going to get a kick out of this one, man, let me tell you. And its main claim to fame is that it's one of 2 roles ever played by actress Patty Mullen, who you may know as the titular Frankenhooker from the movie Frankenhooker, if you've ever seen that one. So Doom Asylum will be for August. So there you go. Summer Try/Slash-a-thon coming to a podcast service near you.
So some more inside baseball. We last year, one of the titles that we covered was Madman. And we couldn't, I don't know how this happened. We couldn't remember if we said Maniac or Madman. and we just literally, I don't know, we went back and forth for what, like 2 weeks or like, and then like I think I had texted you Maniac and you had said Madman or like one or the other. But yeah, I'm pretty excited to get this one. Maniac looks crazy.
It is, yeah. It's a pretty, out of the three that we're doing, it is the prestige one. It is the one that is
for
known. Sure. Yeah, like I have a Maniac T-shirt. Like this is a movie
you
people
do
know. So very excited to cover Maniac. Very excited to cover all of those. It should be a great time. So as long as we can stay on track, we'll be getting those.
We'll be good.
So yeah, I guess before we close out, before we, turn down the lights and hit the dusty trail.
Turn down for what?
Turn down for what? I want to take a quick second to thank our friends at Rebel Revolver for the theme song that we've been using. I'm sorry for the lack of, plugging you guys because we haven't been recording, but we're back and we're going to tell folks, if for those in the local to the Pittsburgh area, check out their social media handles. I think they have some shows on the books coming up. Unfortunately, this recording happened just after one that I went to here on Saturday. So, but they have a couple more lined up and maybe more to come depending on how things go. So check them out. Get on their socials.
I'm pretty sure they have one a month, like till the end of summer. I'm almost positive I saw that post that they have at least one in July and one in August. I thought they had two in July, but yeah, check them out. Great guys, great musicians. Their music's actually good. So we're not just pushing them because they're our friends. That we actually do enjoy their music, and you can check out all their stuff on Spotify. Like they have their full album release, which came out last year, right, Stefan? I think it was last year.
I don't know. Time doesn't really make a ton of sense to me, so that seems likely.
Yeah, neither. Yeah. So yeah, check it out. Some great songs. That's all I had. I just glad to be back. It's good to get back in the swing of stuff. And
there's another thing I was going to bring up real quick.
Sure. Yeah.
I went to a show not long ago at the Government Center. And actually ran into a guy named Ben that he has a horror podcast, local guy who has a horror podcast of their own I believe it's called the Neon Brainiacs. And it's pretty cool. So if people are interested in our content, like this kind of content that's like talking about old horror movies and stuff like that, they have one too. And even though it seems like we're kind of competing, because there's plenty of old horror movies out there to cover. So there's more than enough room for 2 Pittsburgh-based horror movie podcasts. So yeah, the Neon Brainiacs. I talked to him. We had a really cool chat that night because he's got a band as well. So we had been just chatting it up because it was actually kind of funny. The place where we had put like the Love Witch on streaming just in the bar, which was hilarious. So check them out. Neon Brainiacs are pretty cool. They're a really nice guy.
Yo, they have a ton of episodes.
Yeah, their output is pretty insane. I was watching that because ever since I followed him on Instagram, I was watching his episodes come out while we're like struggling to get one out a month, maybe 2 if you count the intermissions.
So we were doing the one a week thing.
That was too extreme. We could never. That was unsustainable.
It was because of how, honestly, we really go into depth with these movies. I think we could definitely swing like having more intermissions, but I personally don't have the time to do 2 to 3 movies a month. I just don't. Unfortunately, I wish I did, but because it's not just watching the movie. It's there's a lot that goes into this, and Stefan does a lot of prep work and research.
I do a lot of research. That's true.
So it does take a lot. So that's awesome. I'm going to add these guys right now and follow them. Yeah, check them out. They're at 403 episodes, and they're going one a week. So good for them.
Their output is insane. It's crazy how much they get out. But I'm happy with our new, as long as we can stick to our schedule, our new one a month for one intermission and one mainline episode. I feel like that's fine because we both
Yeah.
have like other stuff going on. Like this isn't all we do, but we do like this too. So
Sure. And I think it gives us freedom to do some other stuff too that we've been working on. And then if we want to, like, again, we both enjoy going to the movies. So that kind of gives us freedom too. If we want to pop in, like, hey, we both went to Lawrenceville and saw like a cool movie or something, that we can just throw up a quick episode. So it gives us a little bit more leeway because we're not so regimented, because it was getting kind of like robotic release wise. So
yeah, if I ever run into him again, I'm going to ask how they keep up that weekly schedule. That seems so hard to do.
Well, so again, like Inside Baseball, you and I went through like the whole editing process that I was doing, and I was over editing the episodes, and I think for 99% of you, I don't think you care as much of what I was doing, or would have noticed. Some of it's important, and you have to do it. But with this new software, I think it's going to help us out, because I can do a lot of the busy work is just taken away using AI. So
gross.
Yeah.
But
Well,
sometimes you need to do it.
I think some AI is good. I think I've been I don't know, we probably don't want to get into this, but I've been really reading on like using AI in place of human workers, especially in the creative space, which I think is pretty gross.
That is gross.
But like, I don't mind, like, because Stefan and I play a lot of video games.
What?
And like, video games have been using AI for a very long time. And I think, and not to make the game, within the game itself, like a lot of your like enemies that you would fight or do things with, or NPCs, have AI. Like some brain is controlling what they do. Now some games are just pre-programmed and that's all that happens. But like, I'm thinking like Alien Isolation. There's a pretty sophisticated AI that's working. There's actually two. So I think AI has a place in technology and content creation, but I don't think it should take the place of jobs that people can do. So
yeah, like AI for like in-game like behavioral assets, like to help with that is very good. It's just like when people use generative AI to replace an actual designer, then it's like, okay, no, like pay someone to program this thing. And like there's a game that I saw that looked really cool, but then I saw that it used generative AI to create the art. I'm like, no, I don't like. I really like that aesthetic, but now I don't want to do it. It was like this very like Lovecraftian like sort of aesthetic, and I was really into it until I saw that it was created by AI, and I'm like, you should have hired somebody to do this, like instead of using a shortcut like that. So it's a bummer when that happens. But yeah, you're right. There is a place for AI, obviously. Yeah, I'm trying to ease my hardline stance on it, because I know I come out swinging. Plus, when the machines rise, I don't want them to take me out.
Get them on our side. Well,
Yeah.
Coming with the AI thing, and like, we're talking a lot about films and stuff. There is a lot of really sophisticated AI editing that's being released. Like what we're doing is very like rudimentary. And I'm an editor myself, so I keep that near and dear to my heart. I am concerned with what that's going to do to the film production, but we'll see. I think SAG-AFTRA is doing a lot of good work trying to curb the use of AI within filmmaking, and I hope that they continue to do that. I think people need to take a stand now, because if we know anything about movie studios and production studios, they want to make money. So if it's cheaper for them to pay for AI once and then use it 1,000 times, they're going to do it instead of paying someone. So
yeah, I think people lose sight of the fact that like people talk about SAG and stuff like that. It's like at the end of the day, that's a union. They're out there protecting the rights of their workers.
Sure.
And me in unions, I'm a big union fan.
I'm also pro-union.
Yeah. So like so it's kind of a bummer when people kind of like naysay acting. Is like, it's work. Like they need a union to protect their rights. There can be abuse like any other worker can. So, and AI is at the forefront of that because it's trying to replace creative stuff when it could be used.
Look at the whole James Earl Jones and the Darth Vader thing in Fortnite. That's been like a huge like
I found him.
pop.
I talked to him.
Yeah.
I found Lord Vader and talked to him in the Fortnites.
But like, so it's weird because it's just text. It's just text to speech, right? So, which has been around for a long time. So it's not really like replacing. It's super weird. It's so convoluted, and I think conversations need to be had around. Because I guess a person has the right to sell their life rights, right? And name and likeness. So I don't know, man. It's a really gray area, and it's going to take a lot of conversations.
This is a really cool conversation, but I also do feel like we're coming up on 3 hours for our episode.
For sure.
We want to
Understood.
We want to let our audience go, I guess. Like
we just haven't.
If you want to know more about our thoughts, though, come find us on social medias. Shane had brought up at the beginning the Dark Side Drive-In accounts. I think Instagram is a big one for us right now. We have a fan page on Facebook. Come join in, have a conversation with us. I would enjoy seeing more activity on our fan page. If you want to follow me directly, I am Darkschneid on most platforms. So it should be pretty easy to find me. Also, I recently got a PS5. So if you want to add me on PlayStation, I'm
funny.
Darkschneid on there. I'm I'm Darkschneid on Xbox. What am I? I'm Darkschneid on Discord too, I think. So I'm working my brand. Actually, I think on Instagram I'm Darkschneid is because Darkschneid was taken. So.
Yeah, and then on Twitter there's Dark Schneider.
That's not me.
I know. It's not you.
But and I think I'm on Blue Sky too, so I'm on most things as Darkschneid, so it should be easy to find if you wanted to.
Definitely. Cool. Well, thank you for everything. The support means a lot. Again, check out all of our friends and their projects and stuff, and support each other. Yeah, I think it's going to do it for us today. Get pumped for the Summer Tri-Slash-a-thon. Insert cool sound.
Cool sound.
It's gonna be a banger this year. I'm so pumped. So
we planned so well this time. So
we did
falls through.
Yeah, right.
To affect that,
we'll be good. But yeah, well, that's all I had. I don't know if you had any closing thoughts or remarks.
I'm sure that the audience is through hearing me talk for the rest of the evening, so we can call it here.
All right. Well, I've been Shane,
and I have been Stefan.
Keep it spooky.
Oh, you need to come up with a good sign off. Yeah, spook 'em up.
Spook 'em up. Spook 'em up, Dano. Bye.
Bye.
He thought he was in control. How wrong he was.
Come to the dark side, drive-in. It's the dark side, drive-in. Come to the dark side, drive-in. It's the dark side, drive-in movie club.
From the deepest corner of the darkest universe, two brave hosts battle through nameless hordes of ghoulish monsters most foul, all to bring you the eternal glory of the Dark Side Drive-In.
It's the dark side, drive-in. It's the dark side, drive-in. Come to the dark side, drive-in. It's the dark side, drive-in movie club. It's the dark side, drive-in. Come to the dark side, drive-in. It's the dark side, drive-in. It's the dark side, drive-in movie club. anonymous media comes a horror cyclopedia, watching movies from the gates of hell, covers ripped from a blockbuster shell. Officer Bosch is